Hey everybody, I'm back again with another tutorial, but this time I decided to change things up a little bit and decided to do a modding tutorial. I'm Def.
And I'm Blan. Hi.
Yeah, Blan's making a guest appearance here.
I'm not
Uh,
normally here.
yeah, no, I preferred he wasn't here, but, we can't all have what we want. Today I'm going to show you we're going to show you the basics in modding and creating a KTANE mod, what you need to do, what you need, and some general tips and advice. Before we start, I will say that there are some general tips you need to have when making a mod. Number one, make sure that you take care of yourself while modding. When you first start out, you're gonna be like, "Wow, this is really fun," and then you're gonna ignore your basic needs for while you make a mod. Just just remember, drink water, do the basic shit.
Don't sit down on your ass all day. I
Yeah,
learned that the hard way.
yeah, Blan. I'm not gonna go into it, but Blan. uh, yeah, get up every once in a while. Let's see what else. You again, when you first start out modding, you will want to make as many things as you want. You'll want to make shit where it's just like adding numbers or pressing buttons. Realize that you can make those, but you don't have to upload those to the same workshop. You don't want to, I'm gonna say, tarnish your potential future reputation by having something that's like simple addition shit that you upload. I found that out the hard way. I made all the original Crazy Talk variants. I made a bunch of things I did not like, and I sort of regretted it, so I deleted it. But just get some second opinions. If your mod's good, then upload it. If you think it's gonna be good, you don't need a second opinion. But that's all I say about that matter.
People will let you know if your mod's bad.
Yes, people won't say if a mod's good. However, they will be glad to tell you if your mod is shit. That that's a thing you have to learn. People will love to just to strike down on people, and it's also important. Hey, Broke sent me a thing. He sent me a recording for the mod.
And for the two of you that never intend on making a mod but just want to watch this for fun, please do not just say I hate a mod without a reason. Please give a reason if you don't like a mod.
Yes. Also, this does go into the thing. It is completely fine to dislike a module. I hate a lot of modules. But there's two things that you need to know. One of them is that you can like a module that is objectively good, or that is objectively bad, and vice versa. You can dislike a module that's objectively good. For example,
you can't be criticized for a wrong opinion because there's no such thing.
Yes. For example, with me, I fucking despise silent shouts. I can't stand the module. I recognize that there is nothing bad with silent shouts. It is a well-made
It is great.
module. It is a well-made
I
module.
disagree with this man, but whatever.
Yes. But anyways, let's see. So I covered criticism, don't make shit, and self-care. Is there anything else I'm missing before we hit? Oh wait, this one's the most important of them all. Get a music playlist. This is actually an important suggestion. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm not going to use one, but you want to listen to music while you mod, alright?
Podcast. Whatever works for you.
Yeah, podcast,
you do you,
whatever
man.
works. You don't want to just sit in silence, basically, while you work on a mod. You'll go insane.
Unless you enjoy that sort of thing. In that case, good for you.
Nerd whammo. But I would highly, highly, highly suggest listening to music. But without further ado, let's get into this. The mod I'm going to make today is called Lean. It's by this person named CFOP. I saw them recently, and this looks like a decent beginner module. So we're going to start with this. Alright? And good thing it's not a Google Doc, because then I'll actually get to show you the manual process as well. So, as you can see, what we're going to deal with, we have this 4x4 grid, two displays, whatever. Right? There's four things. There's a couple of things you'll need to make a mod. You'll need to have Unity. You'll need the right version of Unity. I'll link it in the description below. Make sure you install that. And because that's what you need to upload to the Steam Workshop. Obviously, you need to have KTANE on Steam in order to make a mod. If you don't, then tough shit. The second thing you'll need is... you'll need a... what the hell is it called? An IDE. You'll need either Visual Studios. Atom is a pretty good one. Like, if you don't want to wait 1,000 years to load up Visual Studios. I know people like using VS Code because it's basically Visual Studios, but it doesn't take 12 years to load. So, whatever works for you. And lastly, you'll want Notepad++. What this will allow you to edit manuals. You can do the same with Visual Studios or the IDE you choose, but it's nice to use Notepad++. And you should already have this if you play the game. So that's
basically Notepad but better.
Yeah, it's Notepad but better if you don't have it. But anyways, without further ado, what we're gonna... and the last thing, I knew I was forgetting something. You're going to need GitHub Desktop. Again, all these things will be linked in the description below. GitHub Desktop is possibly the best one. And this is what we're going to open up with, actually. So, GitHub Desktop. So first thing we're going to do, right, is we're actually going to go to GitHub immediately. We're going to make a new project, and we're going to call this whatever the mod is called. Lean. I was going to say something that was completely irrelevant.
Some people have different naming schemes, so you can put KTANE in front of it, you could just put the module name. Yeah. You can do it however you like.
Yeah, you can do something like this. Do realize that punctuation and spaces don't really fly with repository names. So...
Though do note you might want to keep it consistent. So for your next mod, like if you do something like this, keep it similar for any future mods you make.
Yeah. So for example, you'll notice that most of my mods have... It's just the name of them. There's some occasional, like... I occasionally put KTANE, but that's if like the thing already exists in the world. So like chamber number 5, that's a thing that already exists. So I put KTANE in front of it. Same with Lolbit. Lolbit is a thing that exists. So, come on. Oh no. Okay, while that's happening. Okay. So we're gonna type in KTANE, lean, and keep it like that. You're gonna want this to be public, right?
Yes.
And the reason you'll want your code to be public. You might notice that like some modders will like share on other modders' code. Realize that in the grand scheme of things, your code in this game does not matter. You can write the most inefficient code, and it will probably not matter. The only times where it will matter is if you write something that'll like run every frame or something. So take for example, Forget Me Is Not. He was King Bran did a mistake where he created a new texture every frame of the game. So like it lagged larger bombs.
Yeah.
But as long as you don't do something like that, and like that's an honest mistake. As long as you don't do like dumb shit where you put something in an update method and then you just keep running it basically just don't be stupid. Is what I'm trying to say.
This is so that people can find your mistakes, basically.
Yes, this is so people can find your mistakes. Because what will happen, right? This is not if this happens. What will happen is that there will be a bug. You won't be able to find it, but someone else will. That's just how this works. You can add a README file if you want. I usually don't. I should, but it's whatever. The README files usually consist of pictures of the mod if you want, descriptions of how to solve the mod if you want, etc. But we're just going to skip that step for now.
So not required.
It's not required.
Hence why we're skipping it.
Yeah. So once you make the repository, right, we're going to just go to File here, clone repository, all right, URL, actually no, GitHub, and we're just going to type in KTANE lean, right? All right, and this is
also worth noting, please do not call your mod lean. We took that name already.
Oh, yes. And what we're going to do is we are going to... Okay, so what we just did, we just made a folder in wherever you have your GitHub folder. I have mine in Documents, right? And what we're going to do, right? Oh, yes, I forgot to mention. I have a master template that is it's on GitHub, right? You can download that. It has a lot of things that I personally use. It has some custom assets, custom 3D models. I say custom.
And it has some boring stuff done for you so that you don't have to do it yourself.
Yes, it has a bunch of boring shit done for you. So this comes with a basic module script and also a needy module script if you want to make a needy. I'm not going to cover a needy module in this tutorial, but it's pretty similar, and if you get a lot of C# knowledge out of this, then you'll be able to look at the GitHubs for like any needy that like anyone's made. I'd suggest looking at needy. No, not needy stats. I haven't updated that, so it'll just be coded awfully. I'd say Lolbit or some other. It's just anything that's open source, basically. Because there's some special things you'll have to do. But anyways, without further ado,
another reason you want your code open source so that people can look at the code and learn from it.
Yes. So I'm just gonna copy the master template. I have the copyable version. So we're gonna post it in here. It's gonna take a hot second because it's 20 gigabytes because library, blah blah blah. And while that's downloading, we're just gonna open up Unity. Let's see. And let's see. So I covered that. Okay, yeah. We'll just get into this. And oh yes, another thing I need to mention. You'll need something that'll be able to make an SVG. The free version, a free like SVG maker type deal would be Inkscape.
Yep.
That's the go-to for basically everybody who doesn't have something like that's paid for. I'm personally going to use Illustrator because I really like using Illustrator. But again, you can use whatever you want. So, let's see. Hi, Blan. Alright, yeah. So yeah, there's just all that. And I guess while this is loading, I'm going to grab an aspirin because I just got a migraine. So I'm going to pause the recording real quick, and we'll be back. Alright, we're back, and we have the thing copied into the lean folder. So we're going to title this lean, ! And we're just going to open this up. So we're going to go to KTANE lean and just open this up. You're here, Blan. You're here still, right, Blan? Okay. Okay, I'm going to take it that Blan's not here, but that's fine.
Give me approximately 15 more seconds.
Okay, yeah. So, well, Unity also takes a second to load up, mainly because my laptop's like 4 years old at this point, so it's just going to take a second. Blan, when you get back, can you tell Caleb to record himself just yelling "I love Lane" or something? And can you ask Bro to give it to me, because I don't want to leak DMs, you know?
Okay.
I guess I'll pause the recording as well, so I can do it myself, because I'll just take Unity sometime to load. Alright, we're back, Unity's loaded up, and I read some DMs. So, when you first load your Unity project, it may look like this. Sometimes it won't, sometimes it'll have to take place, but yada yada yada, who cares? If you don't see a mod here, all you have to do is just drag this master template scene into this hierarchy over here. The hierarchy is where all the objects in the game where it's gonna be. You're gonna
learn a lot of vocabulary today.
Yes,
remember these words.
Lot of vocabulary. You will learn none of it. To move around your mod, right? Because there's two types of views with a game design. You can have perspective, which is a first-person type deal.
It'll be easier to tell if we're closer to the mod. Let's get close to the mod first.
Yeah, he's right. So
there we go.
As you can see, this is quite unreliable to control. You know, I want to get in a little bit closer. I tap it and it's like that. So we're gonna solve this by pressing this cube so that it switches from perspective to isometric. So if we double click on a thing we want to, and then we hit Y, while I'm holding right click, then it will lock us into place. And this will be the center of our screen, instead of us trying to center onto it. If we zoom in isometric, it'll be a very slow zoom, as opposed to perspective, in where it's very... Yeah, I don't have to explain anything here. But yeah, you want to edit in isometric view. So, first thing we're going to do, we're going to click on the template in the hierarchy over here, and we're going to go into this right here. Module type is the actual mod ID. So this is the thing that the game uses to... It uses it to detect, if it's the same mod, or if it's the mod they actually use. We're going to name it Lean, right? Because that's the name of our module. Some people have different naming styles. I personally use Pascal case, which is capitalize every word that you have. So if I wanted to name this Lean module, right, I would capitalize the L and the M. Other people, like Blan for instance, uses something called camel case, which is where you have the first letter lowercase, and then the rest is uppercase. It does not matter which one's which. You just want to be consistent.
And some people add module at the end. Yeah. That's your call, not ours.
I don't add module at the end. I just have the name of the mod.
But similar to your GitHub names, you should keep it consistent. If you use Pascal case like Def does, keep using that for future mods.
Yes. Now then, so that's the module type. That's the thing the game uses. Now we're going to use module display name. This is something that doesn't really matter all that much, I'm going to be honest. The only time where it does matter is for something like organization. And what it is, right? It's just going to be what it displays as the name of the module. So if this were to pop up on organization, for instance, what we type here is what's going to show up on organization. So I'm going to type in lean and then the 3 exclamation points. This does not have to conform to any naming convention. It doesn't. You can just name it whatever the hell you want. Or rather, not whatever you want. Name it, capitalize the words when appropriate. Just be a normal human being. Don't put module after.
To summarize what to put here, module type is a computer-friendly name, and module display type is the human-friendly name.
Yes.
AKA the actual name of the module.
Yes. And I read the manual for this beforehand. It doesn't require time or visibility. But what time... from the name alone, you should be able to understand what this means. But basically, if you have a part of the module that requires you to see the time on the timer, you want to click this. Because, I don't know how many people know this, but if a module requires a timer, it will be on the front side of the bar with the timer, so you don't have to just guess if it's on the back. Blan, can you answer DM? Can you be my secretary?
Okay.
Tell Broke no, and tell him that, I'm recording, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so because our module does not require any timer, like for us to see the timer, we're not going to use this. Shut up, I have these 4 notifications who are going to kill me. Okay. That's all we have to do for the KTANE bomb module. We don't care about that. This template right here, this is going to be the script. So I have this thing called needy thing, and then I have template. So we're going to rename template to the same name as our mod ID from before. So remember this thing, the computer-friendly one? We want these to be the exact same name. Well, you don't have to, but I like consistency. So, also, I should mention, we're gonna put things onto this module, right? And every time we put something on here and we want to save it, we can just simply drag from the hierarchy onto the actual module in the assets folder. Not folder. I don't know what this is called, actually. I'll just say folder. The assets folder down here. I'm gonna pause again because those notifications are actually going to annoy the shit out of me. So, where are we? Okay, so let's start with actually designing the mod. So if we take a look at Lean over here, right? We see that we have the two displays, some text, and some buttons. And here's the thing you'll notice at first. There's no status light. What do we do with that? Well, we don't do anything. The game will automatically make a status light because we have this, the thing in the ancillary, which is just all the things you shouldn't really mess with because they're not important. and you shouldn't. I mean, you can mess with them, but like, if you want to rotate things or whatever, but it doesn't really matter.
I personally rename ancillary to boring stuff because that's what it is.
Yeah, boring stuff. Like anything works. So you can see we have this thing called status light, but there's nothing here. It's just invisible for right now, and it'll look weird in the test harness. It'll look like a very small, skinny light instead of the bulky status light that's in the game. That's normal. So let's see. Where's I going with this? Right, designing the mod. So what we want to do, first we just want to make, you can right click on anything, anywhere in the hierarchy, and you can make whatever you want. You can do a cube, you can do sprites. I'm not going to go into sprites because it's not complicated, but there's no reason for this mod.
It's its own can of worms. You don't want to get into that.
It's actually not hard. Like, once you know how to do it, it takes like 2 seconds. And again, we have this 3D... we have these 3D shapes over here that we can do whatever the hell we want with them. We're not going to use these either. This mod's just going to be very basic. We're going to put down some cubes, and that's it. So, cube. Oh, Blan, actually, can you find me a good font for this? I don't care what it is. Just make.
You can use Google Fonts.
Yes,
it's a good website.
Yeah, Google Fonts is a good website. They're all free, I think. Yeah. So so there's also some hotkeys that I personally really like using. So up here, because we want to scale these, right? We don't want to just. I mean, you could go into this and then like do this manually, but that's boring. That's terrible. So W for the you can ignore this if you want. W corresponds to this button up here in the top left corner, and that allows us to move the actual shape we want or the actual object we want. It doesn't matter. E will be the rotate tool, and we can rotate this. This is the only tool where I'd actually rather use the rotation part in this transform up here, because you want exact rotation, or you want exact degrees. If you do it manually like this, then you'll get decimals. Also, it's very easy to misclick and rotate upon multiple axes, so yeah, no, that's not a good idea. So I'd stay away from E or the rotate tool. Scale tool is one you'll use a lot, most likely. That will be the R key, and you can scale different sides. So if you press the one in the center, it'll scale all 3 simultaneously. Red corresponds to X, as you can see up here. Green goes to Y, and blue goes to Z, as usual. So, and that was R. And T, which is another one that you might use a lot. I personally do. This one is kind of similar to the scale tool, but it just allows you to freeform shape this. Anyways, that's just Unity basics, right? We're gonna drag this up here. Just shrink this down a little bit. Right? Shrink it down a little bit more. Drop it down here. Thank you, Comforta.zip.
That's the name of the font.
Yeah, that's the name of the font. And because this is going to be a display, we want this to be really, we want this to be rather short. Oh, I'm focused on the cube and not this. So we're going to bring it up here. You can use exact numbers if you want up here. It doesn't matter.
I prefer using
exactly.
values because it makes it look neater, or in my opinion, it does.
Yeah.
You don't have to, though.
Yeah, you don't have to. I'm really good at eyeballing it, so I'm just going to do it like this. Yeah, that's good. And was this the shorter display? No, this was the longer display. So we're gonna extend this. Actually, no. Before I actually extend this, Unity has a weird copy and paste thing. If you want to copy and paste something, instead of pressing Control-C, Control-V, you press Control-D or Control-Delta. Don't ask me why. I mean, it stands for duplicate, I guess, but whatever. So we're just going to drag it down here. I just duplicated it so we can do whatever. And we're going to extend this just a little. So, in this, we want it to be black. So, materials, black, we do this, and we do this. And now we get into fonts. So, we're just going to download this. Blan gave me a virus, that's usual. Make sure you have antivirus because, yeah. And I don't know what I'm trying to do.
Just do not be a fool, and you'll be fine.
Yes. Go on, right click. There we go. Let's show more options, and I'm using Windows 11, so there's gonna be some jinx shit. I will say that much. So we're just gonna drag this font in here. Just buffer. Yeah, come forward up. Alright. And we're gonna select our text, and we are going to just, let's see, where it is.
You need to make the material first.
Yeah, no, I'll make the material in a second. So we're gonna drag the text onto this, and boom, our text is stylized. And if you need to make more, then it will be under 3D object, because apparently this is a 3D text. Don't ask me why. So, we have our text, and it looks all fine and dandy, but then you turn the bomb, and you can see it through the damn mod. How do we fix this? It's very simple. We're just going to right-click into the assets folder, we're going to highlight create, and we're going to select material. Now, we're going to go up here for shader, change it from standard to GUI to 3D text diffuse. I don't know.
In this case, 3D text would make more sense. 3D text diffuse basically means you can't see it in the dark. 3D text means you can. And since these are going to be on displays, it makes sense for them to continue glowing in the dark.
Yeah. And while I have this, in case you don't want to select each object and just because the way we can add this material, we just drag this onto this, right? We drag the material we just made onto the mesh renderer, which we have over here. If we wanted to, if we have a lot of things that we just don't want to do that, right? You can just drag it onto it direct, and it actually looks kind of funny. But yeah, that's just if you want. So if you want to test out different options, you don't have to keep changing it up here. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna duplicate this. We're going to drag this up here. Let's see. And if you don't want floating text, right? You can increase this directly. Oh, okay. So we're gonna drag it up slowly. All right, and we're gonna just slowly decrease this number. Okay, so 163 is fine. Yeah. And
if you see Z fighting where when you tilt it, it appears and disappears, you're doing it wrong. Increase the number and it should be fine.
Yeah, increase the number by the smallest amount possible. It does not matter. Anyways, let's go back to
modules. As they turn out, they're pretty small.
Yeah. Well, they scale. Scissor. Right? Alright. We're gonna... Okay, so we're gonna actually... As you can tell, this isn't centered. Now, the way positions work in Unity is that we have things called a child and a parent. What a child is... Or, actually, let me start with a parent. A parent is an object that has a bunch of objects contained within it. So as you can see, this template, this module, is a parent because it has all of these objects in it. And a child, well, as you can, I guess I don't have to explain that one, I'm going to be honest.
Parents have children.
Yeah, parents have children. So, you'll notice this isn't centered to this. Parents can have children, and those children can also have children. So it can be like nested parents, basically. So, because this isn't centered, what we can do is we can drag this text onto this cube. Don't worry about this doesn't matter. And then we can zero out the position. You don't want to change Y, because Y is just going to affect its how high up it is.
The main thing to note about parents and children is that children's positions and stuff are relative to their parents.
Yes.
That's why Def just puts zeros for the texts, because then that makes it centered.
Yes. And
if you were to center the 0, it would be on the inside.
Yes. I usually don't rename things in the hierarchy because I don't know. I'm an asshole basically, but you probably should. And by the way, a hotkey because you could just press right click and like rename, but that's boring. That takes a long time. You can also hit F2 and it just goes into the rename option. So I'm just gonna rename this to I have caps lock on to top display screen. And this one, well, we don't have to change the text here because we know what it is. And this one will be bottom display screen.
This simply just makes it easier for you to know what's what.
Yes.
If you have to look back on this, which you probably will.
Yes. So let's see. I'm just gonna copy this over because they are the exact same thing, basically. What's the example we'll use? Okay. Lean. Boom. Right? Drag this on. If anything in here is gray, that means it's not applied to the. That means it's not actually applied. It's applied in this like specific instance, but it's not applied overall, which you need it to be applied overall, unless you do some very specific things. Like if
also, Control S to save.
Yes, Control S to save, but everybody knows that besides Xish, who refuses to use it. Don't listen to Xish, by the way. He does not use Control S. He's an actual demon. All right, now we're gonna get into buttons.
I didn't think we would insult people this tutorial.
Oh, don't worry. I'm going to insult many people in this tutorial. And they're all Xish.
If you're gonna insult people, insult me.
And Xish. Oh, shit.
Fine.
Okay. There you go. So, we want this to just be a small cube. It doesn't matter, because in this, the buttons are cubes. And, just a little bit more. Because they're cubes, or because they're buttons, we're just gonna have them be very flat. Right? And before we actually start making the grid, what we want to do, right? We want to duplicate this, and we'll do this for a reason. On the original one, we're going to press Add Component, and we're going to type in KMS, short for kill myself, right? You can remember that because this is the worst part of making any mod. So,
not wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm just objectively speaking. First part, because this is the button. First thing we want to do, this thing parent over here, we want to click the circle, and we want to select a template, which is the mod. I'm going to rename this to Lean Mod. Alright? Just for,
E.
E. Yes, thank you, Blan. Okay. So yeah, now we have the actual button set up. But every button needs a highlight, and we have to set that up manually. So, what we can do, right? So we duplicated the object or before, right? Now what we do with this one is we have to add this. We have to add a KM highlightable, which you can type in KMH. Change the highlight scale to 111. I don't know what this does, but I've been told do it, so I'm not gonna not do that. And
yeah, if you don't do that, it messes things up.
Yeah. And for scale, right? Actually, before I do this, we're going to change this default material, right? Click that circle, and we're going to type in highlight, just so you can see what it's going to look like, right? So, as you can see, we can't tell what the highlight is. So, to fix this, a very nice trick that Tannis taught me is that for most objects, what you can do is you can multiply both of the x and z by 1.12, and then multiply the y by 0.34 or 3.6. I think 3.6. And I'm going to continue this in a minute because someone came home from vacation, so, yada. I will be right back. Alright, I'm back. I'm going to have a lot of jump cuts because it's a busy day today.
Got it.
That was more to the video, but... Alright, so...
That took so long I started playing terrible video game.
Alright, so anyways, what we're going to do, as I said before, we can multiply x and z by 1.12, so you don't have to do it manually, you don't have to type into a calculator. You can literally type like asterisk 1.12. And we're going to copy this. And once you hit enter, then it does it for you. And we can do the same thing for Z. Do that. And the reason why we want to shrink Z is, I'm going to actually bring this up right here, right? So, the thing is, this is kind of a hollow material. It's not really obvious, but it is. Once it is inside an object, then I don't know what kind of wacky shit it does, but it basically just... It's weird.
It's jank.
It's jank. That's the best way to describe it. But anyways, we can now multiply y by 0.36, 3436, and we'll notice that it's still under the ground. So what we can do is we can just drag it up.
Move it up.
And boom. We now have a perfect highlight. Now, you also want to get rid of the mesh renderer. The highlights do not have mesh renderers. Just get rid of it. It will stay, if you don't get rid of that, it will stay highlighted, or quote-unquote highlighted, for the entire duration that it exists. You can do that for like some special things, but don't. So, what we're going to do, right, we're going to just name this HL, and we're going to name this cube, we're actually going to name it
button.
Later. We're going to name it later because we want it to be coordinates. So, what we can do, so this is where we're going to use, this is where I'm going to use like actual numbers up here. We're going to try to see like a good position for these speed. So I'm going to try 0.02, right? Actually, hold on. Let's do negative 0.0.
Oh, actually, I think you might have forgot something.
Oh, wait, yes, I did. Okay, so, actually, no, I'll do that later. Like, you ever talk about dragging this, like, as onto the parent? Oh, wait, yes, okay, sorry, Blan is right. I forgot to actually apply the highlight in the highlight section over here. That is important.
Yes.
In fact, let's actually test this out. So, to make sure that your highlights and buttons actually work, well, we can't test if the button actually works, but let's be honest, it probably will, right? We can press the play button up here, and we click onto the module. We can't click onto the module because it's not child yet. We'll test that out later. Okay, but basically, you can click on the mod, and if you hover over it, it'll bring up the highlights.
If you don't have that appear when you press play, make sure the test harness is in the hierarchy.
Yes.
Test harness is basically the place you can test out your mod.
Yeah, and it'll be very obvious. It'll be like basically the first thing up here. So, we're gonna test this out. I don't know if increments of 0.02 will work. I don't think it will. But you know, let's test it out. Yeah, no. Increments of 0.03 do though. So let's 0.02 and duplicate this once more to be 0.05. Now, this isn't exactly centered, but we can make an empty, it's just an empty, right? Basically means nothing is in it. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. Not for this. This is where I want to start guesstimating. Because for it to be the center, right, we want the space in the center to be in the center. And that's going to be weird, or that's going to be hard to do. So, I am going to guesstimate it. I think this is about right. I could be wrong. Obviously, you can get a second opinion. So, Blan, does this look centered to you?
Maybe a tad to the right.
A tad to the right. Okay. Let's do that. Oh, that was...
Yeah.
That's fine?
Oh, wait. That... Yeah, that looks good, I guess.
And again, I'm gonna be in it. I'm gonna be doing a bunch of cuts. So, sorry about this. I believe that should be the last distraction for a while. Hopefully. I don't know. But anyways. So, let's start duplicating these buttons. Alright. You can press Ctrl D again. And if we remember, the difference between each column was 0.03. So we can just subtract 0.03 from the positions again. And then we can do that each time. So another 0.03. Control D to copy them, and then 0.03. So 0.56, and Control D once more, 0.0866. As you can see, they go off the mod, so the simple way to solve this is just by scaling the entire thing down. So we're gonna... let's see. Actually, let's put this... Okay, now we can use that game object. I'm gonna assume Blan is gone, but we don't need him. So, I'm gonna create an empty. This is basically just... This is if you want to make a parent, basically, but there's nothing to attach a parent to. We're going to put all of this inside of the game object. Yes, we don't care. And then we scale the game object itself. This is fine. Alright. And let's drag it up just a little bit. So, now we have all of this. See that this all probably... Of course. So, I don't know why this happens. Unity is possibly the most jank software I've ever used. So whenever you copy and paste, these will not be in order. Well, sometimes they won't be in order. I honestly don't know why that happens. So we can rearrange this in the hierarchy so that they're in order when we go from top to bottom. So swap 8 and 9, and swap 12 and 11. Ooh, actually. No, it's 12 and 13. There we go. And now we can rename these. So let's just name this A1, then A or B1, etc. There's no fast way to do this, so just gonna be sitting here for a second, possibly waiting for Blan to get back. If I unmuted from Discord, which I did. So he's probably taking a break. He supports the like every 2 hours or something, get up for like 15 minutes and do whatever. You know, it's a health thing, so you know, just it's part of the self-care thing. So make sure you do that. Okay? Self-care is honestly the most important part of this. So now we have A4, then B4, C4, and then D4. So let's apply this again, just so we have everything being consistent. And what we want to do. Okay. Let me just center on this. So, now that we have all our buttons, we want to drag all of these into this children, right? But, let's see. If we want to drag the button into children, right? We can do a thing where we either... No, that's a bad thing. I was going to show you the really inefficient method of doing it, but you should not do that. So, what we want to do, right? We want to press this lock up here. What this does, basically, is that... So we're selected on the lean mod right now, and it'll show us everything that is in the lean mod, right? But if we were... Let me uncheck this real quick. But as you can see, we can click off, and it'll show us the other things, right? But in order to actually put these buttons in here, we need to click on them. Which would, like, you know, get rid of the thing that we need to get to. So, clicking on
that's what the lock is for.
Yes. So, clicking on the lock will make it so that this screen stays on the last thing you pressed. It's very, very useful. Make sure that make sure that when you're done, you press unlock. I've been stuck on some bugs for multiple times because I forgot to unlock the thing. And I'm pretty sure everyone have. Blan, you probably have as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a thing. Make sure you unlock it. So, now that we unlocked it, I dragged all of them in here, and what this does is it basically establishes the parent-child relationship between the buttons and the module. And, by the way, whenever you see something that is bolded black, that means it's not applied yet. So, like before, if this is gray up here, that means it's not applied. It's not universal. If this is black or bold, then it's not universal.
So Control S.
Yes, so Control S basically. Well, no, you need to apply it first.
Yeah.
You apply it and then you save. Don't click this. Just don't. Child row length.
No one knows what it does.
No one knows what it does, but it does break things. So don't. child row length. This is I was gonna say this is important. It kind of is. What this is, right? Gamepad support. You'll notice that, like, if you're in the KTANE server, which I'm gonna be honest, you're probably in the KTANE server, you'll see you'll have seen at some point like gamepad support by Xish, right? What this is, right, is let me press play, right? Ooh, these don't work. That's interesting. Oh no, they do. I'll just need to highlight some more. Oh yeah, because right. Anyways, so yeah, you see this, right? I can highlight all of these. It's whatever. Let me emulate gamepad, right? If I press down, that doesn't do anything. Up doesn't do anything.
Deficient by 0.
Oh no, that's because the child row length is 0, Blan. That's why. So, actually, yeah. So that's gonna happen if you use gamepad, basically. If we set child row length to 1, which I believe that's what it should be on default. I don't know why it was 0. We use child row length of 1. Emulate gamepad. Yeah, we can't go up or down. We can only go left and right in a column. So, what we want to do, right? We have a 4x4 grid. How many buttons will be in a grid or in a row? 4. So, the number you set will be how many buttons are in a row. And you can add in. Okay, let's say hypothetically, right? C1 didn't exist. Let's just get this out of here. Yeah, C1. Poof, you're gone, obliterated, right? If you have something that's missing, it will pass over it, which is very useful for if you have like something that's actually gone. Like, I need an example. Oh yes, so like take any keypad module, right? Let's just go to KTANE.de, right? Let's type in dictation.
Yeah.
Right. So you take a look at this. I didn't draw the keypad there, of course. Jailbreak. All my homies like jailbreak. If God ain't got my back, then jailbreak do. Yep. Okay. Cool. So as you can see, right, we have a keypad over here. Now, this does have keyboard support, but there's not the same number of buttons in each row. So what the empty squares will do is that they will act as a button in terms for space. But they will not be able to. They are not able to be highlighted. So you use those for spacing purposes for gamepad support for empty children, or for null children, I guess. However, let's set this back to C1. Save this, and again, child row length is 4. So if we test this, go over here, emulate gamepad. I can press down, up. Yeah, and if you want, you can have. Which one is it? You can have allow selection wrap, which basically it will wrap around from left to right. I forgot which one's which. Probably doesn't matter. One of them's probably horizontal, one of them's probably vertical. But before we continue, we need to fix these highlights. So we need to open all of these.
This is quite a scuffed tutorial we got over here.
Oh yeah, no, this is incredibly scuffed. However,
that'll be the title of the video.
Yes. However, people, I don't think people like the Royal tutorial video. I don't know why. I haven't seen it, but I don't know why. Not KM highlightable. We'll add a mesh renderer, right? And we'll add KM, or we'll add highlights.
Highlights overlay. Yeah, just bring it up a little bit, I guess. That's a lot better.
A little bit more, because it was Z5 a bit. There we go.
Oh.
That's perfect.
And now
we can remove that. Close this off. We're not going to touch the buttons again. Right? And boom. Alright, so we have...
Now let's test it.
We're not... Yeah, okay, let's actually test this. Good point, Blan. I mean, you don't have to test it because we checked it out already, but yeah, whatever. Just to be sure. Yep, it works. And test each one, make sure they're all in. Yep, cool. Anyways.
Oh, so aren't these buttons supposed to be purple?
Yeah, I'm just getting to that.
Okay.
I forgot to do it on the original one, so I have to apply it to each individual one. God damn it. Alright, so we're just gonna name it lean TM color. Alright. What's a good... I'm gonna try and match shade with this. I don't want to pull out a snipping tool. Okay, so it's that kind of purple.
I can...
Is this
yeah.
lean color? No, that's missing texture color.
Yeah.
That's lean color. That is lean. There we go. Yeah, just... shit.
The entire module is now lean color.
The entire module's been dipped in lean. So, yeah, just drag onto all of these. There's probably a faster way to do this. You should have done this before.
There is.
What one?
There is.
Oh, okay. Cool, I guess we won't go over it. Let's see. And there's nothing that's on these buttons, right? Yes, there's nothing on them. Okay, so save this, apply it, and now we have the base for our module. So now we actually get into the code aspect. Let's see. Yeah. And this is going to be a very simple mod. I'm going to take some time to Visual Studio. Remember I said earlier in the tutorial about Visual Studio is taking 12 years to load up. It'll take a long time. So while it's loading up, I'm going to explain the 4 basic types of variables for C#. And I'm not talking about primitives, I'm talking about basic. Please, no one be fucking pedantic with me. So, there are 4 types. We have Boolean, which basically stores 2 values. It stores either a true or a false, yes or no. It cannot be anything else. Technically, I'm not gonna go into nullable types actually. It's going to be either true or false. Then we have integers, which will be any number from negative to positive, and it will be from negative to million. Is it million or billion? It's billion, right?
I think it's billion.
Yeah. Basically, it's a really low number to a really high number. It's 2 to the power of 32 minus 1. Basically, it's that number because 32 bits.
Computer science reasons.
Yeah, computer science reasons. If you go past the integer max, if you go past 2 billion whatever, it will wrap around back to the bottom at negative. I doubt you're going to do a module, or you're going to use a module that uses that number, but if you do, there's something called long, which extends it from 32 bits to 64. So if you need something that for some reason goes that high in number, use that. What else? Then we have floats, which is the same thing, except it stores decimals. Integers do not store decimals, as, like basic algebra would tell you, but floats do store decimals. And they can also be negative, don't worry. And if you want... I won't explain that now. Actually, yeah, I will. The thing is with floats, right? You might think to yourself, wouldn't it be best to store everything as floats? No. Because there's 2 reasons. One, floats are very, very unreliable. They are prone to having errors because they're just prone to having errors. If you've ever seen a calculator just give a random ass decimal at the end when it shouldn't be, or give you a wrong number, that's because there's something called a floating point error. And what it means is that there is some decimal, or there's some bit of the code, or not the code, the actual binary of it that's a little bit off, and thus it will give you.
Should I try to explain this?
Yeah, it's a bit stupid.
Yeah, basically, it's because we don't have an infinite amount of data to store the number. Some of it will get lost somewhat when converting from to binary. So if you ever get a situation where you try to add 0.1 and 0.2 and you get 0.300 some number of zeros, then a 4 at the end, that's what happens.
Yeah. The way you would fix that is by storing things as a double, or storing a float as a double, which is basically the same as a long. It's double the length of a float in terms of bits stored. But I mean, I'll be honest, you won't need that for like any given module, or for most given modules. And the last type we have is called a string, and that's basically just storing text. There's not much more to go into that. And for people who use different languages, there's something special you can do with strings that I know isn't present in like Java, for instance, but I'm just gonna put it here. So we have string lol, right? Let's just type in something here, right? If you know arrays, then you know that you index into an array using brackets. We can do the same thing with strings, where we index into a string using the same thing, and it won't throw an error. But that's that. But anyways, those are the basic types. Just Boolean, string, int, and float. Those are the 4 types you need to know. We'll get into like the uses for those later. First, what we want to do, right? So we already declared these. We want to change the class name from template to lean. This is so that the module works. If we don't change that, then you'll have a wonderful time trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
Yeah, make sure the class is the same as the name of your script file.
Yes. It has to be the same name as the script file.
Or else Unity will get very confused.
Yes. And then we drag the script onto the actual module. The reason why this is not automatic in the template that is given is because, well, everything is named template. So while I could drag it on, you're going to change the name and it's going to mess some things up. So once we drag this on, right, we click this button over here, we change it to lean mod, and we do the same thing with audio. Lean mod.
So you have a second lean script for some reason?
Do I?
Yes.
What?
Scroll down. That one.
Weird. That's weird. Maybe it was already in there. Who knows? Yes. Okay, cool. Drag that on, apply it. Always apply and save. Okay, now then, we need to actually register the buttons we have and the text we have in the code. So, we're going to type in public. You're going to type in public for buttons because, to put it short, if you have something called public, that means you can assign it directly in Unity, which you should only do for things like buttons and text, things that you can't grab from the code yourself. I mean, you can, yeah, but like, why? So we're gonna type in public KM selectable. KM selectables are the buttons, and then we're gonna add brackets. I'll explain what those are in a second. Buttons. Okay. So I explained before that we have something called, like, we have int, we have float, we have string, and we have bool. Now, we have int, right? We're going to have int lol equals 101. What this is, right? This stores a singular number, right? If we were to add brackets afterwards, this can hold any amount of numbers. This is what's called an array. Brackets, just adding brackets to something makes it an array. So, we can type in as many as we want, doesn't matter, but do note that once you set the length of an array, that length won't change. You cannot change the length of an array. Unless you like assign it to some things, but for all intents and purposes, you can't change the length of an array. So, we're going to set the buttons, right? We're going to save it. Actually, we're not going to go into it just yet. And we're also going to do the same thing with the text. We're going to type in public text mesh, because that's the name in Unity of like text. Do the same thing with brackets, because we want it to be an array. We want it to hold multiple texts. Texts is such a weird word. And then we can apply it. So we're going to name this display text. Right? Cool. So now that we save this, we can go back into Unity. And as you can see, it'll have to compile over here. You just have to wait for the circle to be done. And you have the buttons right here. Or you have the variables you just declared right here. Oh, jeez. Okay, I can close all of these. Blah, 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 blah. So we're going to drag all of these, and we're going to plop it into the buttons variable array that we just declared. And again, it's black, or it's bolded because it's not assigned yet, but we'll do that once we apply the text as well. So this, and then this. So we're going to we're going to apply it, we're going to save it, and then we're going to go back into our code. Now we actually get into the actual coding. So, first thing you want to do, let's take a look at this block, right? This one's awkward. This module consists of... Oh. Okay. Now it's going to be me. Blan has to, go... He has a mandate to actually go outside for once. So, what we're going to do, right? This module consists of a keyword, 16 purple buttons, blah, blah, blah. First thing we want to change would be the display and the capitalization of lean, or right here. So, what we can do, right, is this will be any amount, or this will be any of these keywords up here. The top display will be any of these keywords, right? So, what we will do is we will make a string, or rather a string array, right? This holds multiple strings. We're going to have this be display, or no, we're going to have it be keywords, right? And by the way, if you have an array, you don't have to put an S at the end. That's not necessary. However, you should. Alright, we're going to have these be brackets. And we're just going to copy all these things over. For a string, it specifically has to have quotations around the string. So we want purple drank scissor. Make sure they're double quotes and not single. This will take a minute. Purple jelly. Perp. Christ. These names are interesting. Oil and then syrup. Oil, syrup. Drink and then bar. Is this supposed to be beer? I don't know. Walk and Texas tea. Memphis mud. These sound like actual drinks, which... Dirt. Okay, dirty Sprite purple. Okay. Slurp and Cody? Christ. And then we have lean at the end. Okay, so we have all these displays down. What we're gonna do, right, is I'm gonna skip the button step for right now. What we're going to do is we're gonna index into display text, right? So we're actually gonna grab the text that we have up here, right, and we're gonna modify it. So whenever you want to change specifically a text mesh, specifically a thing in Unity, right, you'll do display texts, and I need to say this, dot text equals, and then keywords of whatever. RND dot range of 0 to keywords dot length. Okay, so I want to explain what each part means. So, if we want to index into an array, right, we want a specific thing in that array, we have to use brackets. Alright, the brackets, we'll use brackets and then a number inside. And that number inside will tell us how many into that list we need. Do note that for everything relating to indexing, actually, let me start that sentence. Do note that everything about indexing starts at 0. So the first term in the list, this is term 0. It's not term 1, it's term 0. And then this is 1, 2, 3, etc. Oh, I need to add a semicolon. Right. So, yeah, so that's what this part is. We're indexing into the array, and we're grabbing the first text mesh out of that. This dot text is a property of an object. I'm not going to go into the specifics of that, what that means. Just know that we're basically accessing the part of the text that is the actual text. Because this is not just text, it's text color, it's like font.
A bunch of things.
Yes, as Blan says, a bunch of things. Go away. You're supposed to be moving. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so. Gosh. There's something on my keyboard. I just have to get rid of it. Okay. So same thing here. We're indexing by using keywords, and then we have the brackets to actually index into it. We have this thing called rnd.range, and what this is, right, is every module uses randomness, unless it's like blind out. Who cares, right? But what it is we want a random number, and to get that random number, we have to just call a function, right? And a function is basically something like this. It's a word followed by parentheses. Sometimes it can take a number, or it'll take input, but it doesn't matter. So what this is, rnd.range, is it basically just returns a number. If you look at other people's codes, you'll see that sometimes they use unityengine.random instead of rnd.range. I have rnd.range equals unityengine.random up here, just so I don't have to type in unityengine.random every time I want a random number. I can just type in rnd.range. That's just a convenience thing. It's equally fine to just say unityengine.random.range. This also works, right? And now we actually get into the range there. So for this function and for many other functions, the first number is going to be the start of something, right? So we want the start of the random number to be 0, because that's the first possible term in the list. And we want the last term in the list, or we want the last possible number to be the last thing in the list, right? So random.range takes in a single number, right? So it takes in the start index and it takes an end index. But the thing is about this is that the start index, it's inclusive, right? So when I say 0, that's when it can start at 0. But if I say 7, or if I say 3, for instance, right? It doesn't count 3 as part of the index. It's inclusive exclusive, meaning that the first number you put will be included, but the second number you put will not be included in the randomness. So again, if I were to say 0 to 3, it would be 0, 1, and 2 as your possibilities. And the reason why that's important is because if you don't have... Actually, let me rephrase it. The reason why it's like that, right, is because you want random things, and to get a random thing, instead of just counting this manually, right, you want to get the length of this. And you can just simply do that by typing in .length for the array. But the array is going to give you the actual number, because that's not an index. The amount of items in the list is not an index. That's an actual number. So there are, I don't want to count this. Let's just say there's 15 items in this list. The length of this is 15. Even though we start indexes at 0, the length of this is 15 because the first item, for purposes of counting, is 1. Right? So what this is saying is 0 to 15, which includes all numbers from 0 to 14 inclusive. And that's all that is. That was a bit of a lengthy explanation for something as simple as rnd.range. Sorry, but whatever. So what we have essentially done is now we have changed the top word so it can be anything, or anything within this list. So now we have perp. Oh, and I should also do a thing. So I'm not sure about this. I'll have to ask about this later. But I see these brackets. So what we can do, right, is we can add text to each other. So in the sense that we can add numbers to each other, like 3 and 4 to get 7, right? We can do the same thing with texts, kind of. We can just append it to each other by having the text we want, and then a plus to append this. So what this will do is this will take this string and append this string to it. And then we want to do the same thing here. so that we have this surrounded in brackets. So just have to wait for it to save, and then we can see that it will give us what we need. Purple drink. You'll notice the text goes off the mod. We'll fix that later. Now we have to deal with capitalization. So we're going to make a bool array for this, right? So we're going to type in bool array. Let's just name it lean cap, right? And instead of typing in false, instead of typing in 4 falses, what we can do, right, is we can type in new bool and then 4. This basically creates 4 bools, or creates an array for us that is 4, that has a length of 4, where all of them are false. You can do this with anything, with any data type, as long as it has a default. So ints will default to 0. Floats will also default to 0. Strings will default to null. They won't default to an empty string. They will default to null, which is different. I would suggest not doing this for a string, because it will mess with things later if you try to do that. So now what we want to do is we want to type in a thing called a for loop. What a for loop does, basically, instead of typing in, if I want to do a tedious calculation, like I want to say 1 plus, okay, we're going to have int j equals 0, right? Instead of typing int j plus 1 and then j plus 2, etc., right? We can make a thing called a for loop, which basically saves a lot of code for us. It just does something an amount of times, any amount of times. All right. So first thing we'll have to do, right, is we will have to make a new array, or not a new array, a new variable, right? Usually it'll be I equals 0. It's usually an int, so it'll be I equals whatever. Defaults to 0 because most of the time we won't need to start at a specific value. So this part creates a variable. This middle part takes a bool. What you'll usually do here is you want to say I is less than some number, right? Right. However, there are some times where you don't want this. Sometimes you want to say, I don't know. Let's say module solved does not equal true, right? And this will also be just as valid. You can put anything here as long as it will equate to either true or false. So we're going to say I is less than 4 here, because we want this to run 4 times, and we're starting at 0. So it'll be 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? So this is what we do here. And in the final one, we have an incrementer. This thing will run, or this bit of code will run, every time we finish one loop of the code. So it's not exclusive to I++. We can have I minus minus, we can have I times equals 2, etc. So what we just want to do, right? We want lean cap to equal. Actually, let me do this in a specific way. So we want to type in if, right? An if is basically testing if something we say is true or false. So if I want to say 1 equals 2, that will return false, and it won't run this because it needs to run the boolean that we send in needs to evaluate to be true, right? And so 1 equals 2, right? That doesn't work. 1 equals 1 is going to work, but nothing else will. You can also do something like 1 is less than 2. That'll work. However, we can just toss in bools in here. We can toss in bools, so if I have let's just create something called bool lol equals true, right? Instead of just using a variable, like not a variable, just a statement like 1 is less than 2, we can drop in a bool for us, and it'll just do it for us. Or it'll take the value of the boolean and evaluate that if it comes out to true or false. So, because we say that bool lol is true, this is going to run because in the center is true. If we want this to not be true, right? If we want this to run if it's false, what we can do is we can put an exclamation point. As an exclamation point will invert whatever Boolean value it has next to it. So we don't want it to be true. We want that to be false. Right? And something, if we want a compound statement, right? So let's say we have bool lol and bool kek equals false, right? If we want both of these to be true, right? We can say lol because it's going to check that, right? And if we want kek to also be true, we can type in ampersand and kek. And what this is, it checks both of these. This is an AND gate. So we want this to be true. What we're saying here is we want this to be true and this to be true. Because one of these is false, neither of them are going to apply, and kek is not going to apply. This Boolean function fails, and we're going to pass over the if statement. We can do the same thing with OR. So this is like, if either of these are true, then this will evaluate to true. And forgot about this one. Yeah. And notice that those two, these require to be two of the operators. So this requires to be 2 ampersands. This requires to be 2 bars. If we want an XOR though, we want it to be 1. An XOR is a caret in this case. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked here. So yeah, I covered not, I covered OR, and I covered XOR. Okay, cool. Anyways, that doesn't matter. So we want if rnd dot random, right? And we just want a random number. Okay? Let's say 0 to 2, right? So that's going to generate either 0 or 1. And we're going to say equals equals. Oh, I forgot to mention this. So if I want to assign a variable, right? I put an equal sign to actually give it a value. However, to see if two things are equal to each other, you put 2 equal signs. That checks if they are if they have the same value. That's all that is. You can also do something like greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. But 2 equals means that it's equal to. So we're just going to make a 50-50 chance of if each letter in len is capitalized. So we're going to say if rnd of dot range 0 to 2, if a equals 1. So that gives us a 50-50 chance. Alright? And if this is true, then we're going to say that len cap of I equals true. Right? And now what we can do here, right, is we can have display text of... Oh, actually, I should put this inside the for loop. I'll put it in here. That this equals... we'll say len... Yeah, we'll say len of I, right? So what this is... Oh, I need to put .text. So what I'm basically saying here... Fine. .toString. So what I'm saying here, right, is for each letter, if the 50-50 chance is true, I'm setting this to be true, and the reason why I need that specific role to be true is because of this table down here. And I'm also setting that the specific text to be, for that specific letter to be capital, right? Ooh, actually, well, we want to actually make this empty at the beginning. We want this to text of 1 to equal nothing. And this should not be the I, this should be a 1. So, this takes each letter, and if it's true, then it'll give it a capital. And we need to make it, if it's false, for it to be lowercase. So, we have an if, which tests if it's true, and then we'll have an else, which if this if statement fails, it'll go to the next else, as long as it's consecutive. We can't have a random statement like I++ in here, because that will just not, that'll break the if statement, basically. Jeez, that breaks everything, actually. They need to be consecutive. If we want to throw in a third condition, by the way, or a second condition, we can type in if else. No, else if, my bad. And then test a second condition here. So else if, blah blah blah, right? Doesn't matter. But because we only want this to be 50-50, we just have a single if else. And this will be lowercase. Right? So now that we have the capital and lowercase, what we can do is we can say display text of 1, that's the bottom one, dot text equals, because we also want this to be surrounded in brackets. We can say equals the open bracket plus display 1 text dot text, which gets its current value. So basically whatever we get here, and just adds it to that. And we'll add another bracket. And this should give us just a random capitalization of lean. So I have to wait for that to compile. Ooh. Oh wait, because my bad. That's why. So here's the thing. I said this is equal to. Well, I set this to be equal to whatever. So every time this loop is running, it's making the entire string equal to one letter. If we want it to compound, right? If we want like the strings to combine, we have to type in plus equals, because that means it'll add whatever it wants onto the list. So if I say plus equals n, it'll add n to the end of the string, and it'll do that for every time it goes through. So we have to run this again, and now we have lean with the random capitalization. So now what we do okay, I'm gonna actually change something with these displays real quick. I'm going to have them be flush left. Oh wait, I shouldn't do this. Let me uncheck this real quick. So I have this anchored at middle center, which basically just makes this text centered in the center. And instead, I'm going to place it middle left. So that means all text that it gains will be changed onto the left, or it'll compound to the left. I'll do the same thing here. And let me just change this. Oh, that's aligned. Oh, wait. But I have to change it to middle left. There we go. And I guess I can shrink this as well. Yeah, okay, I knew that was going to happen. Yep. I'll make it like that. So, I believe that should fix our... God, that can't really makes me out. Okay. So now we can see that... okay, it's still not fixed. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. But anyways, we have the text randomly generating, so that's good. So, what we do from here, right, is we actually calculate some rules. Or... there's opera. I dragged this over here. So now we have to check all of these. So we're gonna oh, this is actually going to be interesting. Okay. We're gonna have a string. Right? And this string is gonna be called order. And what this will be, right, is for each one of these, it'll basically check the order for us. So we can have either reading, ABC, geometric, etc. So what we can do here is that instead of plugging this random thing here, right, we are going to make something called int random. Right? And that'll be the same thing as before. However, we get to actually keep this number. Because if I just put this here, we lose this number to all of time. However, we can use this still within this function. So, what we can do is now we have order, or actually, no, I need something else. I also need the string button order. Button order, my favorite module. So now we have to make a string array. Got this tutorial so scuffed already. And what this is, right? So same thing with this. We have the keywords and it goes down the list. We now need the button orders and we need these to go down the list. So we'll have it be the same thing. So we need the actual orders and then we need to create the array. Alright? And we're just gonna type it in. We're gonna type in R for reading, ABC for that, G for geometric. This will be just a log alt tab. You can skip ahead to the video when I'm done with this. C. Type in CH. CB. CBA or BAC, yeah, BAC, then U for uniform. I'm actually going to change every instance of CH to just H, just for consistency. Not for consistency, for ease later. Okay. So we have the order of the presses, and the reason why we need to make this is so that, again, for convenience, because we don't want to just, if purple drink, then we use reading. If scissor, we use this. We'll be efficient about this. So now we have to type in button order, right? Because we want to actually store what order we have. Equals orders that indexes into this array. And if we type in random, then we have it. So now we have the order stored, and we have the keyword stored because it's kept here. So what we can do now is, I think we're actually done with this part. Now we actually get into the calculation. So we have void start, and that gives us that. We're gonna make a method, because what we've been doing so far, we've only been coding in this, right? This is basically a main method, but I'll get into that later. So we're gonna change void update, we don't need this, to void calculation. I don't like those semicolon there. Alright? And methods are basically they're basically a way to order code, right? Because we could put everything in start, but that's sloppy, right? That's gonna be unreadable. And so to make it more organized, we want to break this down into multiple functions, so that way it'll be more readable to us later on. For this module in particular, we don't really need to, because, this module is pretty simple. However, it's nice to have order. So, we're going to type in calculation. Actually, we need to call calculation. And to call a function, you need to type in calculation, or you need to type in the name of the function, which in this case, calculation, and put the parentheses afterwards. You'll notice that there is a word void here. And the reason why that is because this is a method, right? And it returns specifically nothing. Right? So if I were to type return, actually no. Methods can come, ignore what I was about to say. Methods can come in many different types, right? As long as there is a variable or a variable type that you can have, you can make a function out of it. So we can have something called int, or we can start a method with int and then do whatever, calculator, or bleh, right? And basically, it does the exact same thing as a method, but at the end of your calculation, you have to return something. So you return I don't know, let's say 90, right? So we have int I equals 0, I equals R&D dot range 1 to that, right? And what we do, and then you can return that. If we don't have this return function, then what it will try to do is return, well, it won't try to return anything, but we say that it has to return something. So it'll just throw an error, and we don't want that. Right? And we have to return an int there. So if we were to have a string, it's the same scenario, we have to return specifically a string. We have to return the type that we specify at the beginning. But because we say void, that means we are returning nothing. We don't have to do anything. But let's continue on with this tutorial. And let's just check.
I'm alive again.
Oh, hey. I spent a really long time explaining like for loops and ifs. Because I did the thing you didn't, and which is actually teach me what they do. Let's see. I'm gonna take a drink of water because I've been speaking a lot. Drink water, everybody. Good for your health. But yeah. So now we have this method set up. Now we can do all of our calculations in here. So there's not really a good way to do this. Okay, so you'll see up here, you may be wondering why there's this, or why we declare this up here and we declare this down here, like this int random. There is a thing for methods called scope, and basically the scope of a method is from its starting curly bracket to its ending curly bracket. And what that means is that if we declare any variable in here, like we actually make the variable in the scope of a method, it can only be used inside the scope of that method. So this int random, we can't call random from here because it doesn't exist here. It's outside of the scope of this method. However, declaring it up here allows any method to have access to it because it's within the scope of the actual script. So we're gonna make 3 variables that are only available through the scope of this method. So we're gonna have int a equals, and this is where we get edge work. Excuse me, sorry. So we have int a equals bomb.get serial number numbers. Alright, that's going to return an array. We're going to index into that array, and we're going to type in 0. Okay, this is not. God damn it, what's this return? Okay. Wait, it doesn't return int, does it? Oh no, it does something dumb. Okay, so instead of typing in, we can't just directly do this, because it doesn't return an array, it returns something that's basically an array, but not. It's weird. So what we can do is if you get an error, if you try to do something like that, you can type in to array. And then you can index into it. Alternatively, if you don't want to do that, you can type in .first, and it'll give you the first. The .first and .last are the only methods that are available, So you can't do like .second or .third, etc. You can't do shit like that. But anyways, we set up A. And if you want to get more edge work, right, you can go to something like Blind Alley. Blind Alley is actually a really good one because it takes every piece of edge work. So you can check there. But if you use something like Visual Studios, you can just type in bomb.get and you can see exactly what you need. So you can get 2-factor code or count, you can get solve module names, etc. You can get anything you need. It's really useful. So, I'm going to type in int b. Int b equals the number of modules. So you can do the same thing here. Bomb.get module names. There's not get module count, but we can get the names, right? And this is going to be a list. So we're gonna index it as well. And there's this thing, there's this thing called a list, and yeah, a list. And a list is basically an array. there's slight differences. Basically, a list, you can change the size of it, and that's pretty much the only difference you need. But for a list, you want to do .count instead of .length. Don't ask me why. It's weird. Anyways, we got int b because by just getting the module names, because that's going to be the same. It's going to take the name of every single module on the bottom. Even if there's duplicates, it's going to count it as many times as there are. So we got int b. And now we have int c, which is the last digit of serial number. So we can do the same thing here, where we get instead of .first, we can do .last. And now we have a, b, and c set up. So, actually, hold on. Blan actually type something here. We don't want to just call this directory. Actually, let's make a list. Let's make a list. Alright, so we're going to type in list. We're going to type in int, because we want a list of specifically ints. It's basically the same thing as setting up an array, but just slightly different. We're going to say list int, let's say, buttons to press equals new list int, and then now we have our list. And like I said before, the size of a list can change as opposed to an array. So we have that. So now we just have to actually add onto the list. So what we can do is over here. So I set this up before. Let's just see if orders, or rather if button order equals U, that means it's the uniform because of this. Then we'll add on to the buttons to press .add let's see, 0, because A1 is the 0th button in the array. I don't know if you can actually compound this, or what kind of overload does it take? If you press Control click, you can see how. Okay, you can only add 1. That's fine. Maybe. Actually, let me try this. Can you do this? Okay, no. You can only add 1 at a time for a list. So you're gonna add in 0 because that's A1. Alright, so if we actually look at the module, this will be 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. So B2 would be 5, and then C3 would be 10. 5, 10. So add 5, and then add 10. Alright. Else if. Alright. So now we have the unicorn set. Now we need to check the other ones. If the text equals if button order equals R, then we just add everything. So we can do 16, right? Instead of just typing in buttons add 0, then button add 1, we can set it from 0 to 16. It'll go up to 15, but not 16. And then we can just say buttons to press of I, right? Because we set I equal to a number and we keep increasing that number. We can do the same thing here, or not the same thing. Now we have to do the next one, which is if button order equals, I think I said H? Yeah. H for Chinese reading order. Which, how's it go again? Start top right, moves down the column. Ooh. Continues reading column, right to left. Okay. I'm going to pause the recording to think about this, specifically the code, so you don't just sit, so you aren't sitting watching me do this. So, after taking a small break, I know how to, and like figuring this out, I know how to do a Chinese order. So, what we do, right, is we want to make a for loop, right, and inside of this for loop, we can make a second for loop. Now, we can't name these both I, because we can't just instantiate a variable a second time. We'll have to name it like j. So what we do is, actually for I, we want this to equal 3. Right? Because we're going to start in the rightmost column, and the rightmost column would be the third column. And we're starting at the top right, so we're going to start in row 0. So j will equal 0 because j is going to be the row. I is greater than or equal to 0, and j is less than 4. So what we do is we can add, or we can type button suppress.add I plus j times 4. How do I number? Blan, how do I number?
I.
J times 4, right?
Yes.
Oh, now I'm confused. God damn it. I hate you, Blan. We want... So this is...
I hate myself too.
Shut up. Yes, we want it like this. Right. Okay, yeah, this is right. So basically what this is we're grabbing the column, right? So we're saying column 3. Because, let's just do the first iteration. Or the first 2 iterations. In the first iteration, we say I is 3, right? So we're going to take in the third column, basically. And we're going to do this entire for loop before this... Oh, I say increment. This should decrement. Do note that if I were to keep this as like ++, we would run into an infinite loop and Unity will crash. Alright, so make sure to not get into an infinite loop. So, we have something like this, right? So we start in the third column, because that's what I equals. I represents our columns. And then we have j. It's going to run through all of the j's before we go to the next I. So we're going to run the first row, then the second row, the third row, and the fourth row before we move columns. And that's all. That's how we do a nested for. Okay, so we need to do another else if for geometric order. I actually don't know how geometric order works either. I might just type in else if g. What was the? It was like in one of my early mods that like I just type in like, or actually no, it was like the part you implemented where you just typed in like if sex then funny. What
yeah.
Was it? Was it just that? Was it if sex then funny?
I don't remember.
Okay. Okay, so this we're going to start in the bottom left and we're going to move across the row. So, what we can do here, right, is we type in, because we're starting bottom left and we're moving across, we can do the same thing we did here. So, we're going to have one thing dedicated to the row, because we want the row to, the row will be the thing that updates second. So we want the row to be the outer loop. The further out a loop is, that the slower it's going to run, or the less it's going to run. So, we want I to equal 3, because we're starting at the third row, technically the fourth row. We're going to say if it's greater than or equal to 0, how did it end up there? Equal to 0, and we're going to decrement it. Then, we're going to have a second for loop, say this one's j, and if it's less than 4, it's going to run through every single column in that row. And we're going to do the same thing as before, so it's slightly different. We're going to have I times 3, or no, I times 4, plus j. And that's how we have the geometric order. And now that we have the 3 orders, technically 4 because of the uniform, we can finally just do the calculation. Now, this calculation will run most of the time, so let's just get into this. Now, before you'll notice, like, I set this this Linting cap to exist, but we didn't actually use it. Now we will. I'm gonna burp. Excuse me. Okay. So, unfortunately, because we have a list like this, we're going to use a bunch of if statements. These are not going to be else. These are not going to be
No. Def.
Yeah?
Switch.
No, because multiple of these could be true.
Fuck.
Yeah, no. What Blan was referring to is something called a switch statement, which is basically a glorified if statement. It kind of saves space, but it doesn't. I'm not going to go into depth about it in this tutorial, because I'll be honest, it's not really useful. At least for the reasons I've seen. But let's just go down the list. We'll have to type in each one of these manually. So, we type in the first if statement. If A and E are capped. So, we're going to type in lean cap. 1 is going to be the second thing in the second letter in lean, which is A. So, we want this. And because we said that if it's true, then it's capitalized, we can just say lean cap of 1. And lean cap of 2. Because that gives us the E and the A. I don't know why I switch like that. It doesn't matter. Alright. And now we can say A minus equals 5. Because A is our integer, or our int that we declared. And we can change it by saying minus equals. This is the same as saying A equals A minus 5. If you just put an operation, an operator before a minus sign, or before an equal sign, then it'll just it saves some characters. It saves some typing. And okay, here's something I will say. In some people's codes, you'll see a series of if statements, but you won't see these brackets. You can do this whenever the result of an if statement is only one line. However, I will highly, highly, highly suggest against doing that. You are not saving space, you are saving one line. Or 2, depending on how you do your brackets. And I have gotten a bug before because I used to do this. Do not do this. If you want, you can do it if you want, but I would highly suggest not to. And Blan would also highly suggest not to.
As someone who has never done that, I have not gotten a bug because of that. So.
Alright, so now we do lean cap that. Let's see, so that'd be 0 and 3, 0, and lean cap of 3, and not, because we want this to be lowercase, lean cap of 2. And we're going to say B divide equals by 3. Now, with integers, whenever you have to divide, it will drop all decimals. So, if we have, let's say 10, right? 10 divided by 3 is 3.333. However, we're using integers. We don't care. That's just going to be 3. If we have 11 divided by 3, that's 3.666. We don't care. That's still going to
be 3.
It's not going to round, it's going to truncate. If we want decimals, then you would use a float. So we have a float of 11 divided by 3, then it will equal 11.6, not 11. Then it will equal 3.666.
Not exactly.
Not exactly. Not necessarily.
And because we think you get the point by now is the time to speed this up.
What the fuck? What the fuck you mean redundant?
What?
Yeah, okay. So okay, so here's the thing with Visual Studios. Visual Studios is nice sometimes. It'll tell you if a line's redundant or not. So these, I don't need these up here because I'm not going to use redirects, and I'm not using a call from system. However, the person who made Visual Studios is also not the brightest individual. Sometimes they'll just say this is not important. It is. So basically if you see 3 dots, probably ignore it. Or read it and then ignore it.
I don't even get 3 dots because I don't use Visual Studio.
Yeah,
I use
VS Code.
Well, actually,
use VS Code.
Yeah.
And that's basically the same thing, but just 1,000
Yes.
times better. So, I should probably switch over to VS Code at some point. Anyways, I'll leave
Speed this up.
I don't feel like editing, to be honest. I'll just leave this
Okay,
part.
then.
Actually, no.
That'll make it even more scuffed.
Yes. Actually, no, I'll just pause the recording. That's what I'll do. Actually, before I continue, I'm going to make my life easier. I'm going to create 4 bools. Alright, I'll say L equals lean cap of 0, and then E equals lean cap of 1, etc. Just so I don't have to keep typing lean cap of 1 and whatever.
Yeah, but be careful with the A, though.
God damn it, Blan. Okay, yeah. Okay, capitalization matters. If I type in lowercase a and capital A, these are not the same thing because they differ in capitalization. So, L-E-A-N. So, A and E, because I'm doing it directly as the code says. So, L-N, L, and N, and not A. And now, an L and E. Alright. Now I'm going to pause the recording unless something else comes up. Alright. 5 seconds after I said I'll pause it. There is something I should mention. Modulo. If you guys don't know what modulo is, basically, back in, elementary school, remember when you had to divide something, and instead of just doing decimals, you had to take the remainder. That's what modulo is. Modulo returns the remainder of division. So, if I were to say 20 modulo 6, right? 6 goes into 20 3 times, gives us 18. The remainder of 18, or of 20, is 2. Because 20 minus 18 is 2. That's what modulo is. And modulo is represented by the percent sign. That's all it is. Now, let me just check anything else. Okay, over here I'll get to a while loop, or a do while. That'll be good. Okay, do you see anything else, Blan, that I need to specify?
No!
Thank you, Blan, for being a wonderful sunshine in my life. Okay. One more thing about Blan said no, but I realized immediately after, because Blan's an asshole.
No, it's just because I couldn't see the code.
No, it's not even that. So, modulo okay, so the best way... So, we said the remainder after division. You may also know it as, either you add or subtract until you get to a certain... or until you're within a range. So, if I were to say 20 mod 8 or 20 mod 6 was my example, I would keep subtracting 6 until the number I get is less than 6. And that's fine and dandy, except with negative numbers. With negative numbers, you don't go into positive. If I have negative 20 mod 6, we keep adding 20. No. We would get the remainder of negative 20 and 6. So we add 18, which will give us negative 2. You don't drop the negatives in a modulo. And this is important because, if you want to wrap around from negative to positive, you have to specifically say, if it's negative, then do this. That's all. Okay, that should be the final thing. If it's not, I'm going to kill Blan. Alright, we're back, and me and Blan filled out most of the tape. We filled out up to here. We stopped here because this actually will give us a nice introduction to a while loop, or a do while in this case. There's this thing called a while loop. It's similar to a for loop, but instead of doing it a set amount of times, a while loop will do it until a condition is false. So, let's say, I'll show you with this example, but I did also say we're going to be using a do while, which is basically the same thing as a while, but there is one slight difference. if the condition for a while loop is immediately false, so if I literally say if while false, that line will, or anything that's within this loop, will never be ran. However, if I say do while, right, it will do the line in the brackets, or it'll do what's up where the.
It'll do what's in do before doing.
You stop speaking too. It'll do whatever it's in do once, exactly once, unless the while true, until the while is false. The only difference is that it will execute at least once. That is the difference. So we're gonna change this because we have until if two or more numbers are equal. We're gonna say while A equals B, or A equals C, or B equals C, right? Then we have A equals parentheses A plus 2 modulo 16. And I will say, I didn't mention this thing with modulo, but I was going to do it when I come back. So, because modulo is a division, it's going to be in the same process as, or it's going to be in the same order as PEMDAS. And we all know PEMDAS, it's wonderful. We use it here a lot. As you can see, we have the parentheses. It'll execute everything in here before going outside. Because if I were to remove these parentheses, right, it would read 7 modulo 16 first, which will just give us 7, and now it just breaks some things. So that's all it is. Right, so we have the A plus 2 mod 16, and also B equals B plus 1, also modulo 16. And that gets rid of the spawn condition. Now, we want to add this to the list. But because we've been dealing with these with numbers like these, we want these to be indexed at 0. So what we just do is we subtract these. We subtract 1 from all of them. Actually, no, we don't, because we're already dealing with mod 16. So we just add these to the list. So we have what is it called? Button suppress. Button suppress dot add A, please. And the button suppress add B and then C. Cool. And now we're done with this calculation method. And something.
Save.
I'm not done yet, Blan.
Might as well save anyway.
Fine. And I was going to mention this at the beginning of coding, but I didn't really have a good way, or I didn't have a good reason to. When you start getting into more complicated code, because right now this is very basic, we're just adding numbers, or we're just doing math. Once you get into more advanced code, you should put comments in your code. So a comment is just 2 slashes and then whatever. Basically, a comment should explain what a piece of code is trying to do. And if you want to hash out multiple lines, if you want to comment multiple lines, you do /* and however many lines you want, and then slash again. Everything in here does not count as code. It won't run. It's fine. That's all. But because everything here is basic, we didn't really need to comment anywhere. So, we have calculation, we have start, and now we actually need to set up the buttons. Normally this is the first thing you do whenever you make a mod. However, I'm trying to teach C# from scratch, so I just skipped this altogether. We set up buttons a while ago, so we actually over here we can see that these are commented out. These won't be written. So we can get rid of the singular button, right? So this up here, this is for if we have multiple buttons of the same type that we want to use a function on. Well, here, this is only for a singular button. So if we had like a submit button or something like that, we would use this. But since we have multiple buttons, we use this. So, we're gonna do that. Alright, and we get rid of this comment. Now then, this is called, as you can tell from the name, this is a for each loop. It's very similar to a for loop, with some slight differences. You won't need this until you know what you're doing, and then even still, you won't need it that much. But for buttons, we just have it as a for each. And I know that like Darksider keeps saying that like people should use for loops instead of for each, but I'm accustomed to this, so nah. So how this one works as well, right, is this is a type. This is basically making a placeholder. So this is a placeholder, or this is a variable type. This is a placeholder name. This isn't important, you just need the in. And then you have the variable you want to send in. So you're going to type in KMSelectable button. This will be a placeholder, the placeholder name, and this will be the array we're indexing it to. Right? Now all we do here is replace every instance of object with button. And so saying keypad press, we say button press. Now this is going to throw an error because button press doesn't exist yet. All we have to do is just type km selectable. Km selectable button press. Wait, no, Jesus. Void button press. It's not returning anything. Right? And you may be wondering, right, why isn't that throwing an issue? What? Okay, so...
It's fine.
Well, okay, so before I explain methods, a while ago when I explained methods, I said, you have the parentheses, you have a void, you can return shit. If you have something in the parentheses, that means it has to take in a parameter. And a parameter is just anything you put in the parentheses, and it'll probably use it for some code. So for instance, we need to actually say km selectable button. These two names don't have to match. They can be I can name this literally just lol, or John, or poop. I don't care, right? That doesn't matter. This is the same thing as setting up a variable over here. It's just you do it in the method directly. So if you have something in parentheses, that means you're sending in a parameter. So what we want to do is we want to type in for, because we have a specific button, but we don't know which button it is. I know that's weird, but basically it's saying we're going to send in... The best way I can describe it is it knows which button it's being sent in, but it doesn't know where the button is. So we just want to help it identify where the button is. And that's why I said Dark, he says that we should use for loops, because it sends in where the button is as well. And again, he's right on that regard, but customs or traditions. So we have the for loop, then we just type in an if. If button, it grabs this button, and we want that to say if button equals buttons of I. It just compares if this KM selectable button is equal to the one in the loop at that particular point. And once it finds out the location it's at, then we can run a check. So we can just do, where is it? Button suppress. If buttons to press of 0 equals I, because we already have in the number, the index of the button. So we just need to see if the index of the button we're pressing is the same as the next one in the list. And if it is, then all we do is say buttons to press dot remove. I forgot, is this the index? I think it is. Oh wait, I need to do remove at 0. Basically what I'm doing is I'm removing the first item in the list. Because, again, the size of a list can change, while an array cannot. So we're just going to keep shrinking the list until it's nothing. So once we have this, right, we just want to type at the end of this if, I'll actually do it at the end of the for loop, if buttons to press dot count, so basically how many is in the list, or how many items are in the list, equals 0, then we're going to solve the module. And for a module to solve, we're going to say get component, angle brackets, km selectable, no, km bomb module, my bad, parentheses, dot handle pass. It's not handle solve, it's handle pass. Don't ask me why, I don't care. Alright, so we're just going to put that at the end. And we also need an else statement, because if it doesn't equal the index, then we need to handle a strike. So we're going to say else, get component, blah, 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 and instead of handle pass, we handle strike. So that's what we have now. We also need to implement logging and interaction functions. So at the beginning of this, let's make it so that when the module is solved, we can't strike on it anymore. Because it'd be pretty funny. As much as it'd be funny to strike on it after it's solved, some people, they like messing around with mods. So let's just be. So we're gonna be considerate for that. So we're gonna say module solved equals true. And this module solved, you might have seen it at the beginning. It's just over here. It's not really that important. It's just basically allowing you to not strike again. We're gonna say if module solved, then return. Alright? And we're gonna save this.
The return makes it so that nothing else happens.
Yes, my bad. I forgot to mention that. When a return is met in any type of method, then the method stops immediately. So even in a method that returns that returns like an int or a string, as soon as it returns something, the rest of the method is stopped. In the case of a void, if you say return, which is this, then you don't need to. Then nothing will be. Bleh, excuse me.
It'll stop.
Yes, it'll stop. Alright, so let's test this out, right? Because you always want to beta test your mods. So, we have the name of Cody. Right? Cody is BAC. So, first digit serial number is a 1. There's one. Okay, hold on. That's actually A. Let's type in A1, B1, C4, right? We're going to type in LEAN. Alright, so let's go down this list, right? A and E are capital, no. L and N are capital, no. L is capital, no. E is lowercase, no. L and E are, no. L and N are lowercase, no. E is capital, yes. And A is lowercase, yes. A equals B plus C. So this is going to be 5. Wait, which one did I just do? God damn it. Oh, wait. I did the wrong one. This one's 5. Okay, L and A are nope. L, nope. A is nope. L and A are nope. L is nope. N is... Okay, this is true, so A divided equals... So that's just going to be 0. But that's going to... Yeah, let's just say 0. L, E, and N are lowercase. No, no. E, A, and N are lowercase. Nope. And none of these numbers are equal. So we just send this in. And I'll have to rearrange this manual so that, like, it says that 0 is... I'll just have to reword the manual a little bit. So we want to type in... So if it's BAC, or was it BCA? BAC. So we want to type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gave us a strike. Lovely.
I know what happened.
Yeah.
I think.
2.
That's... Oh, what the fuck?
Yes. Scrumptious.
Hold on. What's the next one? Let me look at your notes again. Oh.
This one, apparently.
Okay. It's because... Go back to the code. So you see how you did a do
right.
while?
Yes, no, it's not. It's not because of that. It's not because of the do while. I don't think.
It is.
Is it?
Because it'll go off.
Right, yes. You are completely right. I'm mentally deficient. We don't want this to run as many times. This just has to be a while. You're entirely right. But there's also another bug that I realized that we have, which is why we play test.
Mm-hmm.
So, Blan, do you notice what the bug is?
No.
I'm sending in A, B, and C. Do you
I
realize
see the problem. Yep.
Okay. So
It's not in the right order.
Yes. So I just added in A, B, and C because, well, to be honest, I've been speaking for 2 hours. My mind's not fucking right now. So we need to see the order. So we can just set up a simple for loop, right? Simple for I is less than 3, right? Oh, hey, we can do the switch if we want.
Yeah.
I'll just do a switch. It's a glorified if statement. Basically, you send in something here. It's a glorified if statement, but as a method. So we send in a parameter. In this case, we're going to say order button order of I. Right? We're going to have cases. So we're going to have case of B or A, right? And then we do something, because if it's A, it's going to find the thing immediately. So if it's A, it's going to go immediately to case A instead of evaluating an Elif. Case B, right? And then case C. Right? And then we have a default case. Blan likes to keep default cases. I don't, because I know nothing else is going to be.
I don't do that anymore.
Okay.
You can.
Of course, now
It really depends on the situation. In this case, not needed.
In this case, it's not needed because we know for a fact it's going to be only one of 3 options. So, if it's case A, then we're going to add an A. Right? If it's case B, then we're going to add an B. And if it's C, we're going to add an C. That's all we do.
But you probably don't want to do that if it's one of the other things. One of the other orders, rather.
Well, it's because we have it in an else statement plan. So it's not going to matter.
Oh.
Yeah.
I got it.
Alright, so now let's actually get into logging. Alright, we have all our calculations. Now we actually need to start logging things. Alright, so we're going to type in. Let's go here. Yeah. Debug.log format. You don't want to do debug.log, you want to do debug.log format. I'll explain the difference in a second, but we're just going to do this. So, alright, we're going to put a semicolon just preemptively, and this is going to take in a string, and then you'll see what we're going to do. Okay. First thing we want to type is, let's see, brackets, we want brackets, and then we want the name of the module. So the name of the module is, I believe, capital lean with 3 exclamation points. Lean, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Then hash, curly bracket, 0. Okay, so let's take this apart, right? So we have our string. And what we're doing here, by the way, is we're setting this up for the log file analyzer on the TimB site. Right? Because we say all this fancy logging, right? That's because people do the logging in a very specific way. We do it like this. Alright? So, actually, let me finish the log statement before I start explaining things. So, let's type in the displayed text is 1. and the displayed variation of lean is this. The order to press buttons is this. Alright. We're gonna type in.
You probably want to place that line underneath your for creating the lean string.
Oh yes, I didn't see we did that under there. Okay. So we're gonna type module ID, then display text, blah blah blah, and then what am I doing? Oh, and
display text 0.
Yeah. Oh shit. Alright. Oh, and I need to add in. I'll do that later. Okay, so let's take this apart. So we have this bracket part. This is for the log file analyzer specifically. What this is it helps identify if it's a module whose logging is being read. Because many things are being logged in like the actual log file. Alright? The log file analyzer has to pick out a very specific thing. It has to look for a module name that's in brackets, and it has to look for like a hashtag, and it has to look for a number afterwards. So this curly bracket it's kind of like an index sort of thing. So we have 0 because, as usual, indexing starts at 0. But this is more of a placeholder name. Yeah, actually, this is exactly what this is. This is a placeholder. It's saying that after the string, the parameter we send in after the string is going to go into here. The second parameter we send after this string is going to go into here. Third, and so on. The number you put in is going to be the placeholder for that number, or for that thing you send in. So module ID is going to plop in here because it's the first. The display text of 1 is going to, or 0 is going to go into here because it's second. And display text of 1 is going to go in here because it's third.
And even though the module ID is technically an int, it'll get converted to a string automatically.
Yes. Anything can be converted to a string quite easily. Okay, so let's say I'll just type in for the unicorn thing, just I love Len.
Yeah, that totally explains what you need to do.
Heart. Press A1, B2, C3, smile. Alright. Okay. The order to press buttons is in reading order. Alright. Actually, I should just say press the buttons in reading order. This should probably be capitalized. In Chinese reading order. In geometric order. Alright? And you can just copy and paste the log file line, as I was just saying, or as I was demonstrating, I guess. Okay, now then. A's initial value is... that should be a 1. B is that, and C is this. Right. At this point, you're just make sure you give good logging. this is advice from someone who gives terrible logging, because I do not enjoy this part.
Just try your best.
Yep, just do your best. Or don't be lazy about it like I
am. You made a mistake there. It should be A becomes 1, not A.
A becomes A. Okay. Shops in here. Shops in here. Oh, I forgot periods. Oh, and I'll put in parentheses AE. Parentheses LEA1. Parentheses A. And this might not be obvious, but it will be to us. Okay, now we just do the things for B. Why am I thinking of, like, fucking McJuggernuggets? Blan, have you ever seen McJuggernuggets? Did you ever watch that as a kid? This is a completely random question, I know, but...
No.
Okay. You're an actual human being. Well, you're not, but...
What?
Okay. Let's just do C. Alright. Times 2 and C equals 3. A, B, C. 1, 2, 1, 2, okay. So now I believe the module should be somewhat finished. Let's see. Am I missing it? Okay, I'm missing interaction punch, but that's whatever. I'll put that in a second. Oh, and I need to do display size. Okay, that's going to be really annoying, actually. Yeah. Memphis mode. Okay. Memphis mud is ABC. First digit serial number 619. Alright, and we have MEAN. Nope. 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 Yep. Equals A plus C, which is 15. So the logging should say that. Yep. Nope. 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 No. Yes. So it should be AN. Yep. 4, so that's gonna be 1. I should say 1. Yep. Okay. No, and no. None of them are equal, so we press 1, then 15, and then 9, which is this one. There we go. And the module solved. Pressing these don't do anything. So, sorry, I was just reading a text message. So then, all we have to do now is add in an interaction punch. And I'll be honest, actually, hold on, let me just type in... Adding an interaction punch is very simple. You just type in button, because that's the game selectable, dot add interaction punch, and in parentheses. That's all it is. To add the button press sound effect, though, is a bit more complicated. I'm going to put it after here. So, I'm going to put it after here for a reason. So we want audio.play game sound at transform. Alright, and what we're going to do, right? I don't remember the line for this because, I'll be honest, it's quite a long line. So, that's just not something I remember. I'm going to go to, it's got to be in one of the repos. The button press sound effect.
Oh, that's...
It's a long-ass line, I'm not...
Yeah, it is a long-ass line. You also need a sound effect first.
No, I don't.
What? Oh,
well,
right.
It's a game
I'm
sound.
yeah, that.
This. Yeah. You're gonna say button.transform. Alright. And basically, if the module is not solved and we press a button, it's gonna make a standard button sound effect. However, let's do something special. For this module, I have asked several people to give me some voice lines of them just yelling, "I love lean." So, I have some right here. Let's make a full... Oh, there's... Okay, I don't know why both you and Jacob start playing fucking Geometry Dash at the exact same time. Okay, we're gonna make a folder. We're just gonna call it SFX. We're gonna drop in all of the voice lines in here. Right, so I believe, yeah, the top one should be broke. It's probably because Brooke sent this as an M4A, like an actual degenerate. Who saves the names?
You know, they called me the purple man.
Okay, so I also have my own over here, somewhere over here. Maybe. Mealy. And recording. Delete that. Okay. Let's just go to mp3cut.net. This is a very good site. It's very... If you need to, like, cut audio, it's really good. Okay, save this as a WAV. I cannot recommend that site enough. Okay. Okay, let's go to desktop, and... No, it's not that one. Downloads. There we go. This one's going to be broke. Alright. And I believe Caleb sent me one as well, so I'm just gonna... Maybe send me as an MP4. Damn Okay, it doesn't matter. We can still drop in this MP4, as it called color pollution. Yeah, okay, cool. We're using this. WAV, save that. Done. It's called color pollution. And we're gonna name this Caleb. Right? So now we have our voice lines. Right? And we're not gonna use an audio source, we're gonna use KM audio. And there's a difference in this. In KM audio, we don't have to store these in any sort of array, it'll just do it itself. So, what we do to play a custom sound, we're going to type in audio dot play sound at transform. What we're going to do is we are going to type in, let's say, oh wait, hold on. I need to actually set up another string array, and this string array is going to be the names of these audio clips. So sounds equals this. We're going to do bald underscore lean. We're going to do broke. We're going to do Caleb. J lean. And me lean. Alright? And all we're going to do is we're going to say sounds of R&D range from 0, because that's the first one in the array, and then sounds dot length. Oh, and then we also need to do button dot transform. What this essentially is, this button dot transform part, is we want the sound to specifically come from the button, and we can just type in transform, and that'll come from the module directly. But we don't want that. We want it to come from the button for this. So now it should play audio. However, it's not going to for two reasons. One, well, it's not going to do it in either in-game or in the test harness. For a test harness, we actually need to add it to this particular thing over here, this audio clips part. Right? That one's whatever. And for in-game, we have to assign this to be mod.bundle. And that's the only difference. Now, when we press the enter button, I also want to copy this line and put it when we solve, because it'll be funny to jump scare the player. So, okay, press button in Chinese reading order. I fucking love lean! Yep. Fucking retarded. Okay. So, yeah, now it plays the voice text. And if you were observant, you will see that we didn't have an interaction punch or the button press sound effects. The test harness doesn't have that. I don't know why. It will work in game though. However, speaking of in-game, we want to actually test this in-game. So, let's see. I believe everything here is... No, I need to do one more thing. I need to adjust the text. So, let's see. I need to test each individual one and see which ones fit and which ones don't. So, purple drink. Okay, I could do this boring route, or which one's the... Purple drink is only a little bit. Purple jelly? Blan, is this monospaced? Oh yes, it totally is monospaced. Okay.
No, it isn't.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like type in oil, you'll see that the eye is much...
Oh yeah. No,
yeah,
okay.
Totally not monospace.
Well, anyways, Memphis Mud is the biggest one. Okay, so 300, first of all, these should be set at 300, I don't know why they aren't. But whatever. Let's scale this down. We could go the complicated route of, like, changing the actual text size, or the font size, as the, like, based off the display, but it's not really worth it in my opinion. Actually, now that we did that though, we could center this again. So I'll just say middle center, position that. I'll do the same thing here. Middle center, get rid of that. Okay, now then, this should be ready to build. So, we're gonna build the bundle. Oh wait. Okay. So, while it's building the bundle, basically it's compiling all of the parts for the first time. Or not the first time, but it's compiling all the parts. And we will be able to see where it is if we go to the folder. GitHub, why? Okay. So, lean, the build folder. It will be within this folder. And as you can see, it's named template, because we didn't configure the mod. So, what we did is, we did everything, but we still need to actually configure it for release. So, what we do is we go here, we press configure mod. ID is just going to be lean. Title is going to be lean, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. This author field doesn't matter, I just always type in V. And I should have a default description. I don't know. Is it here? Huh, that's weird. I should have a default description. I don't know why it doesn't. Let's see. I personally have please do not drink lean, or I have the flavor text as the first line, a solving description as the second line. Press the drink the leans in the correct order dictated by the displays shown above. Alright, I have additional manual credit, or not manual credits, just module credits in general. So the person who made this manual is called CFOP. So I'm going to say manual by C. How do I spell it? CFOP. Right? I'll say and minor help from Bananas 2.
Do not give me fucking credit.
We're gonna give Blan credit. So, let's say manual by CFOP, minor help from Bananas 2, and what's the thing? Manual. Yes, manual can be found at KTANE.timwe.de or in the manuals folder of your game. And last, you should always have a place where people can report bugs. Even if you're confident that that your mod will not have bugs, it will have bugs, so you should do it. If there are any bugs, contact bartlicker777-9169 on Discord. You can link your GitHub. People could leave a thing in the Steam comments. It doesn't matter. I personally, I always say do on Discord. We also need a preview picture. So, we want to get the biggest picture of this as possible in the test artist or in Unity. So to actually get a big picture here, you want to slide this off all the way to the right as much as you can, and slide this all the way down. You won't be able to slide this that far down, but if you select console, then you can shrink this to an extraordinary amount, or to a much bigger amount. Alright, so now we just take our snipping tool. We're going to do new, and we're going to try our best, but ultimately not care. Alright, we're going to save this as not paperweights. Let's go to lean assets lean.jpg. Now we have a picture here. What the hell? And now, in our configure mod, we can we can set the preview picture to be lean.jpg. And now we can build the asset bundle once more. We're going to test it out in game, and we're going to upload it to the Steam Workshop. Alright, we're going to delete template because that's not our mod. Okay, so the way we test this in game is, okay, let's bring up Windows R, right? You're going to go to App Data. I don't know how this will work on Mac. If you're on Mac, tough shit, buy a better computer. We're going to go to Local Low. We're going to go to, let's see, where is it? Steel Crate Games. Keep Talking Nobody Explodes. And we want to, oh wait, this is the wrong one. Sorry, this is for a different thing. To get to the Steam folder, we want to go to Data, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Keep Talking Nobody Explodes, and if you're modding for the first time, this will not be here, probably. What you want to do is, once you get here, you just make a folder called mods, and then it'll work like normal. We're going to copy this, we're going to paste it here, and then we're going to load up KTANE.exe. Make sure you load up this, and specifically from here, because it's going to load a local version of KTANE. It's not going to load a Steam version, because we don't want to load up multiple mods simultaneously. Or we don't want to load up, like, however many mods we have installed. We only want the one that we're testing. So, while struggling, I will have some more water. Because water is good. Why did you drink water? Hit make mods. Close mod manager. Okay. Now, you'll know that your mod bundled correctly if you can see this mod's only key. If you can't turn it, then something went wrong. I don't know what the hell went wrong, but something went wrong. So, let's pull out Notepad. Ah, yes. I didn't apply this to be in the center. So I'll have to hit apply next time, and then it'll be fine. But anyways, let's solve these. So purple drank is reading order, so I can just do
lean.
That's Blan.
I love lean! I love lean!
I fucking love lean! Blan, I wish you could actually, Blan, you get to hear this. You ready, Blan? I don't know if he's here actually.
Damn it, I died at 87.
Oh. Shut the fuck up, dude. Anyways. So, yeah, sound effects.
I love lean!
You know, they called me the Purple Menace in the pharmacy trade. You know why? You know why they called me that? Because I stole all of their cough syrup. Because I love lean. You know, they called me the Purple Menace in the pharmacy trade. You know why? You know why they called me that? Because I stole all of their cough syrup. Because I love lean.
So this one we have to actually calculate it. So let's just do this one. This one will be ACB, which is 931. 16.5. Oh, right. We're gonna hit 13. And then. Except I need to add. I fucking love lean!
You know, they called me.
I love lean!
Pharmacy. You know why? Pharmacy trade. Pharmacy trade. Because I stole all of the. Love lean.
Yeah. This module works. So, share my screen. Thank get your ass off, G. I swear to God, I'm gonna kill you, dude. Alright, so our module works. We just need to actually apply the thing once more. Now, normally, right, you would beta test more. You would ping beta testers in the KTANE server. You won't get many people. You'll probably get 1 or 2 because there's like 50 people with the beta tester role, only 1 response. It's a bit annoying, but whatever. As long as someone beta tests. He's a professional League of Legends player. Thank you, Quinn. Anyways, but we're gonna say that we beta tested it enough. I'll beta test this more later, but we need to move on. So, once we do this, we're gonna press Steam Workshop tool. Don't worry about this being 0, it's gonna make a new ID. Regular module, because that's what this is. If it's a needy module, you get needy. Release change notes, this initial one does not matter. I love me. Okay, we're gonna create a new workshop entry, right? Then we are going to go to we're going to go to Steam, and what we do is we just hit change visibility and public, and now your module is readily available for anyone who so desires. But now let's make the manual. That's one of the next things we need. I'm gonna pause my recording real quick just to see if there's a specific, if I put any like weird shit in Logbox DMs. Okay, it's so my DMs are fine with it. There's no weird shit. Okay, let me close out this, and let's do. Okay, you're going to download the template zip, the template zip from the repo. That can be found at where is it? That can be done by going to KTANE.tv.de. Tools? I think it's tools.
Nope.
Links? Which one is it, Blan? Do you know?
Oh,
this one.
No,
this
it's
one.
the one below that.
Yeah. You'll hit this one. The header is a bit wrong. Whenever you make your manual, just look at the header for mine. You'll see what I mean. So first, let's rename this to lean ! Right? That's what we want this to be called. HTML, we renamed this from module name to lean ! Right? And then let's just open this up. So we're gonna open with Notepad++. Right. So if your head tag does not look like this, then you need to change it. You need to like copy it like for this word for word because the logbot will yell at you if you don't. So okay, let's Control F, replace module name with this. Please do not drink clean. And I suggested to the manual creator that we should say, like, statements made by the utterly deranged, but they were afraid of, like, bordering TOS, which is fine. But just know, that is the true flavor text. Anyways, now we just do this. If you're like me and you like bullet points, you would use a UL tag and then LI tags. Each LI tag will create a bullet point, and every piece of text you put afterwards, or all text afterwards, will be in that bullet point. You close that bullet point by having a /LI tag. And then you close that UL tag with a /UL tag. Honestly, this manual, or like, if you open this up normally, so we say open in default viewer, right? It actually tells you what to do. It's actually pretty concise. So, I'm gonna only lightly explain this as opposed to how I normally do, and we're going to copy this manual basically. This one has a P tag, so I'm going to not use bullet points and instead use P, because we want it in a paragraph form. So we're just going to copy this, paste it, and then next one. To solve it, blah blah blah. File open in default viewer. And by the way, every time you make an update, you can press F5 and then it'll update your manual for you. So I just remove all of this. You can see it removed it. So now we just have to do the table. The table is pretty simple enough. Let's remove all of this. Not wrong. So first we want to just type in brackets table. We also want to close this. We can't open something without closing. Here's the bad thing with HTML. It's not coding language, so it's not going to throw an error when you do something wrong. So just be on the look. Make sure you close your tags when appropriate. Okay, so to make a table, we want to first type in table, right? And then we want to type in tr. This creates a row for a table. And then we want to do td or th. I don't know what the difference is. I just use td. And then we have td. This creates a cell in that row. So what we want to do, yeah? Do you know?
th basically makes it in bold.
Doesn't now. I'm curious because I didn't actually know that. Let's see.
Yeah, apparently it does.
Oh, hey. Interesting. Okay. That's actually good for me to know. So we want keyword, then we want button order, and then we want explanations. Right? And then we're going to make a row. Next row. That one's going to be a th. That one's going to be called purple drank. This one's not a TD, or not TH, it's going to be TD. And it's going to be reading. Not redoing, reading. And now we want to do TD, TD. Okay, and as you can see, this cell spans across multiple rows. This is a very simple thing to do if we want that to happen. We just have to type in row span equals quotes, and then the number of rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that'll go across 5 rows.
Wrote spawn.
Shut up. Also, I'm gonna pause this once more. Blah blah blah. People can't know. Alright, so we want to make this bold, but we don't want to make this a th. All we have to do is type in b and then /b. Anything within the b will make it bold. So order. Let's type in BR maybe? Yeah, let's type in BR because we want this to be a new line. Starts at the top left. BR moves up across the Jesus, can I type today? The row. Right across the row. BR continues with each row, top to bottom. Press your buttons in the order they appear. Oh, press your buttons as they appear in this one. Yeah, same difference. Ooh, okay. This is also important. As you can see, this is not centered. Oh, Blan, I guess this also centers it if you make it a TH. I did not know that either. Okay. So, if we want to make this be centered, we go into the table and we type in style equals align colon center, and that will align everything within this within the table to be in the center. Oh wait, it's text align, isn't it? Text align center. There we go. Alright, and then we just copy and paste, and then we just continue on. So, we're going to stop at oil, while we're going to remove this until we get to oil. So purple drink becomes scissor, and this becomes ABC. Purple jelly. This becomes geometric. Perp. This one is ACB. Like perp. Okay. And then oil. Oil. BAC, and this should have expanded across all of this. Yes. Okay. So now we start a new row, and it's going to do basically the same thing. So I'm going to copy this row. This one's going to be syrup, Chinese, Chinese order. Starts at the top right. It's not consistent. I'll keep a dash. Okay. Moves down the column. Down the column. Continues with each row. Alright, continues with each column. Right to left. Yep. Okay. And now we can continue on with this. So we're gonna have drink. And cab. Bari. I still don't know what that means, or what that is. Geometric. Dead walk. CBA. Texas T. I can confirm that is what our T is. BCA. Ooh, I actually didn't change this. This... Oh no, it is that. Never mind. This one should be Memphis Mud. ABC. Okay. Left. Yep. Okay, now we just have to finish this. Dirty Sprite, purple oil, etc. I should mention that if you want to do something special with your table, like for instance, there's this background color, you can always Google what you need. Like if you Google table background color and go to W3 Schools is great. Then you'll be able to get something. All right. So let me just finish this up. I love lean. If you want to underline something, you shouldn't underline things, except for flavor text, and in this very particular instance. But I believe it's you.
It's you.
Okay. 3 exclamation points. Let's refresh this page. Yep. Okay. And I just need to color these, and then we'll be not done. Well, we'll be done with the first page. So, what color is this? That. How do I get this hex color? Oh, I don't know what the hell I did, but alright. I'm just gonna do This is how you do a comment, by the way. You just do arrow, exclamation point, dash, dash. Why is the rest of this?
Probably didn't close it correctly. Oh well.
Wait, is that just how it colors it? If
No, I think you might need to do a slash thingy.
Oh, you know what? That might be it.
There you
that's
go.
Weird. Okay, whatever. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna have style equal background color, and we can just plug in a hex code, semicolon, and then we can look at this and see that it works. We're gonna do the same thing up here. We're gonna find what hex color is. Oh, Christ. How do I get this? Okay. I still don't know how I got that. I'll just say that. Okay, we're gonna copy this. I'm gonna put it here. We're gonna copy this over. There we go. And now we've copied the table. You notice that it doesn't look exactly the same? It's just because of Google Docs and like formatting. It's like this is font 13, this is not. And also, pretty sure this page is wider. Anyways, so let's just say for instance that this was a one-page manual. In order to close this, right, we just need to find which div belongs to that, which I believe it's this one. And we'll just close this out. Yep. And that's how you'd finish a one-page manual. If you want multiple pages, if you want more than 2, you would copy this entire thing and then paste it. But for this one, we are using exactly 2. So now
I just now realized you had Chinese in all caps at one point.
good catch.
Chinese!
Chinese! Alright.
Normal people scream lean. I scream Chinese.
Okay, Blan.
Yeah, that made sense.
We're gonna say this is an H3. Alright, we're gonna copy this over. Finding buttons. Alright, refresh. I'm gonna say H2 actually. There's from H1 to H6, and they're just different sizes basically. Yeah, it's that. Okay. Let's drop in a P tag. Yep. I'll just use BRs as well. Always explain what operators are, like modulo. Okay. Now we have to make this. Oh, this also has a call span. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna make a table like before. It's gonna be basically the exact same. However, I'm going to lose more of my soul. Ooh, this is actually weird. Okay, yeah, no. Okay. So, I have an tr/tr td, or rather, this should be th. A equals first digit of this number. Just do that because that's a serial number. Number of modules and last digit of serial number. Alright, now we're gonna have just a singular T, not a singular T, or a singular TD. Alright, we're gonna do /I, not slash I, we're just going to do brackets I, then dot, and we want this to be a call span of 3. It's going to span 3 columns. It's the same thing as row span. Ooh. Why is that? Oh wait, because I need to not have it in TR, I need to have it in TD. There we go. And also, style equals text align center. And this will be the boring part again, so I'll just sit here in silence and contemplate making the manual with this many cells. It's fine. Let's do it. You could probably skip it. If you haven't, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Just skip ahead in the video. Make sure I'm still recording, actually. Yes, I am. hell did I actually get? Was I right on that? What? Oh my god, I was. Holy shit. Oh, mostly. Anyways. I think I need to add in an empty tr tag just so it does the call span or the row span properly. Okay. Now then, all we need to do is make our SVG, and then I'll send it to the logbot, and then we'll see. Yep. Gonna delete this. We no longer need this. Okay. And while Illustrator is actually loading up, what we want to do is we want to press create new module. So we're gonna type in the name of the module. This will make the JSON for us. So this one's called Lean. This description I put. This is pretty self-explanatory. If you have contributors, do not type in the author field. If it's just you who's making it, then you do. If not, then you have to do a different thing. Let's just type this code. Yes, you have. It's open source. Yep. Tutorial video, nope, unless you made it for some reason. Symbol, I usually don't type in the symbol, but, you know, just for this. No obsolete Steam IDs, put compatible. If you put something other than this, just fix your damn mod. It came out today. Diffuser, I'll say easy and expert. Nah, also easy, it's pretty easy mod. Doesn't have rule seed, I don't know how to do rule seed. It's not a boss. And none of these apply. Mystery module, probably not. Contributors, developer is me. The manual is by CFOG. Yes. Souvenir, no. So now all we have to do is also name this Lean exclamation point. Edit with Notepad. Go. Control V. Then get rid of this. You don't need it anymore. Okay. And here's something that we need to do. Okay. So we need to Control A, then go to Edit, Blank Operations, and then tab to space. This is just so the logbot won't yell at you. Alright, so once we've done that, then we can just throw this into logbot. Okay, to do this, I see. And also, I'm going to actually keep this on the side because we're gonna close Unity. Right? We're gonna do some edits, but I'm gonna close Unity because for a specific reason. So this one I'll open. Where is it? Lean HTML IMG.
Def, I said do not give me credit. Fuck.
Yeah. You're not credited. You won't be credited on the repo. Don't worry. However, your name will be immortalized with Lean. In fact, I'll make you re-upload it. Alright, so now all we have to do is just make the SVG. You can be as sloppy as you want with it, I'll be honest. There goes Blan. Let's see. Make this a black screen. Make another one about the same with, actually, I'll just copy this. And then we'll have 16 lean colored buttons. Actually, you should probably have white. You can have a color in your SVGs, but usually you shouldn't. I will for this one though, just because everything's about the same. Or because nothing changes. So that. Shit. Okay. So we'll just hit this. And that'll be our SVG. Again, it's just a rough sketch of it, so it's not going to be that much. And now let's reopen Unity. Actually, if we refresh here, there we go. There's our SVG. And now we have to reopen Unity just to see. I'll look at that later. Now, the reason why I'm closing and reopening Unity, like I'm still going to make an update to this, but when you update a module, the second time you open a project, it's going to wipe the Steam ID. I don't know why. It just does. So make sure you have your JSON still on you, or you know where you're going. So I'm just gonna have that. I still have the script open, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to go over Twitch Play support now. Twitch Play support is very simple, right? This is going to be here already. This is going to tell you what command you need to do, so I'll just say A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And A / Alright. So now we're going to do command. Oh shit. Okay. Command equals command dot trim. They're just going to send in a message. It's going to be a string. And also dot to up. Alright, so trim removes any white space from the beginning and after the command that they send in, and to upper just makes everything uppercase. This yield return null is important here. Don't remove that. It should be like after you modify command. It's important because it will throw an error if you don't have that there. Let's see. So now what we want to do is we actually want a string away. We want this to be split. So chain commands via spaces, right? So we're going to say that was string array parameters or commands. And we're gonna say that's equal to command dot split are going to split based off of spaces. First, we want to run a check to see if every command is valid. So, commands dot length, right? If, let's see, commands of 0, this grabs the first thing in the command, in the string. The first string, the commands of I, this grabs the current iteration of the thing in commands, and 0 grabs the first letter of it. If that equals, or rather, let's do it like this. Let's say abcd dot contains this. So basically what this checks is that if each one, or if the first letter is either A or B or C or D, and we want this to... Oh, okay. Thank you, Clyde. Shut up. So we just want that to equal... We want this to be false, because we want it to not be A, B, C, or D. Because we want it to throw not a warning, but a message if it doesn't, if the command's not valid. Or 1, 2, 3, 4 dot contains, or I should say not contains commands of I of 1, or commands of I dot length does not equal 2. Then yield return send to chat error. This just sends a message to chat. I don't understand. And then we can drop in a yield break. Alright. And now then, what we can do from here. So now this checks if every command is valid. Now all we do from here is we have we're going to do another for loop. We could do this in the same block, but that will press everything without it actually pressing. We want this to just check if everything's valid first, and then we go on with the commands. Commands.length. Alright, and now we're going to have an index number equals 0. Alright? Shouldn't have equals 0. We're going to have it be ABC, or actually no. We're going to do something. We're going to do array.index of ABCD. I think I have to do .toCar array, but I'm not sure. And then commands of I of 1. No, of 0. My bad. Alright, so that's going to give us the column. Plus, the same thing. Actually, no. We want to do int.parse now, because we know the next number is going to be valid. So, commands of I of 1.toString. This only takes in a string, because what we're giving a car. And we want to multiply this by 4, because it's the row number. Actually, we don't even need this index thing. We just need to have buttons of this on interact. Yield return new wait for seconds 0.1f. And it's gonna press every button there. And that's the Twitch way support. It's not that hard. People like to overcomplicate it with regex and blah blah blah. You can just do it simple. Now let's do the autosolver, and this one should be pretty easy as well. We store our answer, so we already know that we already know what buttons to press. We could send it to the Twitch command, but we don't care. We're just gonna do for and I blah blah blah. I is listed buttons to press. And dot count. Ooh, actually, we shouldn't do this. No, here's the thing. So I was going to do a for loop, but you can't do a for loop with a list as the, like, length. It does not, you can't change the length of an array while it being the counter thing. It's weird. Well, it's not weird, but, like, you can't do this, basically. So we're going to do a while loop instead. While buttons to press dot count does not equal 0, buttons of buttons to press of 0 dot on interact, and we're gonna send it, and it's gonna wait 1 second like before. And that's your Twitch plays autosolver as well. You just need to simulate pressing the buttons. So now we just need to test this. Let's see. Let's do one solve.
Lean.
Yep, that works. And ooh, I'm gonna make it log each press as well, so I can close Illustrator. I don't need that anymore. So what we're gonna do is, let's see. Where are you? Okay. We're not gonna put it in the main log. Oh wait, I forgot to mention the difference between debug log and debug log format. Debug log, basically just use it for things that shouldn't be seen by the players, or not shouldn't be seen, but like things that are relevant for the players to see. So I'll just put an I, right? Because I only need to know the number of the index of the button struck. So let's see. Press the buttons in reading order. No. So I'll just hit B1. And we'll see in the log that it was 5. Interesting. Okay. So that's why we test our Twitch play support as well. Even though I usually don't. So B1 is that. Oh, okay, that's why. We need to subtract 1 from this, and then multiply it by 4. Wait, actually that's not important. Or that's not the place I put this. I need to put it in here. Oh no, okay, put it here. Oh fuck, I'm bad at this. Oh, because I need to put it here, right? Parentheses are a nightmare with this. Okay. There we go. Now it should work. Because I was indexing with 1, blah blah blah, I press the next row. So 1, B1. And as you can see, it presses 1, which is, yeah. So now all we have to do is build the asset bundle. Actually, no, we need to do one more thing. We need to make a local copy of this. Not a local copy, but the manual. We need to bundle the manual with the mod, and then we can make our final update, quote unquote final update, and I will be done with the video. So all we do is we go to wherever we stored it. So manual, PDFs, modules, and lean is the name. And then we just save it. By the way, I press Control P to get to that view. Alright, so now that I did that, all I do now is bundle the asset bundler. Then Steam Workshop tool, add manual, Twitch plays. I could just say add manual Twitch plays. Oh, and if this button is gray, that's just Unity being a dumbass. Just copy your update message, hit X, and then do the exact same thing. I don't know why it does that. It's just Unity for you. And if you're paranoid of if your update went through, all you have to do is go to the Steam Workshop entry, hit this, and you can see that that went through. And that is how you make a mod. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this video has been very informative. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and don't be afraid to ask questions in mod creation. Although I will say that you shouldn't just you shouldn't spam questions. You want to learn from your, not mistakes, but you want to learn. Having it spoon-fed to you will not help you learn. So, you can ask the occasional question here or there. Make sure you post your code, make sure you make it public. Actually, speaking of code, or making it public, and you actually push the update to GitHub. Initial build, that's just the update message, commit to main. Oh geez, I'm forgetting about something. Okay, I thought it was done. No, I forgot I didn't do like 2 steps. Okay, so first thing we need to do, not first thing, but first we need to send this to a zip file. Show more options. There, send to zip, right? And I'm on Windows 11, I need to open this up. Of course. So, let's open up, let's drag this here. We want to drag this to logbot and type in !lint, alright? It'll tell you everything that's wrong with your manual, or with your manual and your JSON, and there should be, as long as you have like underneath 5 problems, you can fix these if you want. You probably should. I'm not going to, quite frankly, because I don't know why this isn't allowed, and I don't know why this isn't allowed, and this one I don't know how to do it. So I'm just going to drop this in repo requests, and someone will take care of it for you. But please fix as many as you possibly can. Let's see, control. There we go. Okay, so let's see. Oh my god, stop DMing me. Oh! Stop speaking. Okay. So, did that. Ugh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Anyways. I'm gonna end off here. I hope I didn't miss anything. I probably did. Anyways, yeah, ask mod creation. If you have any questions, don't spam them with questions. And I believe that is all I need to cover in this tutorial. Thank you everybody for watching, and this will be the only time I do this. Have a good day.